enough room.
Yeah, good.
Kind of hogging up in there.
No worries.
Are you ready, Stephen?
Mm-hmm.
You want to do a sound test?
I already did.
Okay. Well, good evening, everybody. We're going to open this meeting right now. It is 6 o'clock on the 25th of January. And this is an open public meeting, at which time we are going to interview our candidates to assume the position of council member 4. So the first one, between 6 and 6:20, is Jeff Talkington. Welcome, Jeff.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm early.
That's
Oh, who's on first? Thank you. Appreciate it, Mayor and council members and distinguished guests. And live on YouTube. I have a question that I'd like to answer as far as Joe handed me some guidelines.
Shoot.
To just be online. From my understanding, the term is for the next 11 months?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
I want to assure the council members and the mayor that I would take this 100% seriously for the next 11 months.
Okay.
You know, I live in the historic city hall, so I have a very short commute, and I'm here to serve our community. I've been here 25 years, 26 as a resident. You know, you can ask me any questions you might have about my skill sets, but I believe I'm fit for the job. I believe we have some serious challenges ahead. I want to lean into that for the city, for the community, our neighbors. And, you know, this is a time where we need to shorten the learning curve for new council members. Because, you know, if I'm appointed, this would be my first, you know, time serving as a member of the council. So I think my ability to shorten the learning curve, take the data that's necessary, make the decisions that are necessary. We all have a lot of work to do, right? We have a ton of work to do, and we have only this many people. You know, we have this much. So I see the opportunity. My intent is to hit the ground running, serve the 11-month term, and then if the electorate wants to grade me on a job well done, we'll consider the election for a full council term. But my intent is to be immediately available and you know, take on the role.
Sounds good.
Quick question procedurally, Jess. Do we have any objections, since we now have 2 candidates, to extend the 20-minute interview sessions to 30 minutes?
I have no problem.
Okay, that means that Chris will come 10 minutes into this, but I figure we're not supposed to get to the regular meeting, or the regular agenda until 7 anyway, so.
That's correct.
Okay.
But we do, I think, don't we have the executive
Yeah.
to discuss?
Yes, yeah. I have some questions, but you guys want to go?
Go ahead.
Fire away. Okay. So the 2 questions I determined I was going to ask of every candidate, I'll let you pick which order, is one, are there any decisions of the council that you're aware of in the last couple of years that you would have been a dissenting voice on, or you would have liked to have seen happen differently? And then the second question is, what is the largest challenge you see the city currently facing?
Okay, this is good food for thought, Stephen. I know the last, how many years was the first question? Over.
Just a few years. It's just to get an idea of when you have a different perspective coming to the table, what is that perspective on something you would like to see have happened differently?
Right. I don't really have a dog in the fight, so to speak, on any one issue. I know we came through a challenging time with COVID the last couple of years. I'm sure in hindsight, which is always 2020, we could have done things differently or better, or, you know, but moving forward, I'm more leaning into forward. I can't really speculate or form an opinion based on something I really don't have a lot of research on. So I'm gonna jump into the next question of what's the largest challenge that we see, other than the obvious, infrastructure, which is, if your big toe hurts, your whole world's your big toe. You know what I mean? So we have a big toe here that has been triaged, and I'm referring to the ongoing infrastructure, for instance, with the water. And I know there's money being passed through to cover that, fortunately, but I think going forward, I think my pretty big concern would be just like, how are we managing the things that are coming at us quickly, whether it's opportunities that we can embrace or opportunities that we've missed because we didn't have the resources or the personnel to, apply for a grant, or, there's a lot of deadlines that we have to keep a pulse on. And there's a lot, that's happening in the world. Not that we're an isolated small town, we're part of a global community. But I think a lot of difference in our communities at large start right here in our own backyard. But there's a lot of not in my backyard kind of stuff going on, right? But when it comes to certain issues, we as a community have to take in what we can do as a city. We're, part of a rural community, Lincoln County, Eastern Washington. It has its political challenges. We've seen this for a long time, right? And this is a municipal government that has guidance through the RCWs, and I would just hope that we could have transparency of what's going on. For instance, I have a question that I'd like to ask you now that I've done answering yours.
Okay, go for it.
Okay, Steve. Maybe we don't know, but when the city moves from the library in the current city hall to the U.S. Bank, former bank building, which has been voted on to do, nodding your heads yes?
Yes.
Okay, so the intent is to do that, and I know there's some factors that are mitigating that we don't know, like the contractor. What's he telling the people that are getting the slacks that are, going to be leasing that to the city? What's the latest in terms of timeline?
From what I heard from Heather, they're still having trouble getting the subcontractors that would be involved with that. So they're trying to get a commitment from their prime contractor on a particular date. It sounds like it's still at least a month away, and that's probably the most aggressive timeline. I'm guessing that my phone might buzz shortly with a updated statement about that. But it's probably sounds like more than two, potentially. It's just I know they've been in touch with their prime contractor a lot, and they've been aggressive on trying to get it nailed down. But these days, a lot of contractors are pretty slammed, and it's just difficult to get what they need done, and they're done.
Right, this seems to be a universal challenge, not just for municipal governments, but small businesses, big,
Yeah.
everything. It's the logistical pipeline, not
And,
as a pipeline.
and every path
but
out of this building would have construction attached to it, regardless of who the owner is. There's been mentions of the building out there, the old McGregor building. There's been mentions of the Memorial Hall, but there is no ready-made space for us to move to. So at this point, the concept of moving from here, it's par for the course that we would be beholden to contractor work.
Right, and then, so ideally, as soon as possible, realistically, next year? Or-
Oh, no,
This year?
no. Couple months.
Okay, couple months.
Yeah.
90 days,
Yeah,
okay.
Contractors providing.
yeah.
Any foreseen last-minute punch list items, but I think that, personally, I think that's a good move, personally. Let the library be a fully integrated library. Maybe they can extend their hours. We have a new board. I think things are looking bright for the future of our library. Other towns have a lot more of their young adults and school children hanging out after school at libraries, you know, where it's a safe place to research, have quiet time, you know, and just have an alternate space outside of school, but it's downtown. I'm a huge proponent of that. So, that answer your question? Steve?
Yeah, yes, that's fine for mine.
And Joe, did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did, thank you.
Radio silence? Mayor?
So one thing I would like to answer is one question that you posed, and that is in 2023, we have spent most of 2022 updating many of the, what I call cards that it takes to play in the game in the world. You want to get out there right now, we're working on finishing our water system plan this year. You cannot go out and get grants from many of these federal and state and other organizations without having a card to play called a water system plan. So we'll have that in place by the end of the year. We have a contractor, the same one who was our engineering firm who worked on the underground line here for the railroad. They're in the process of finishing that at this point in time. So once we get that, then we can go forward and very possibly get grants and other monies that were able to help us replace some of the water lines. So it's been the first year was a real time of preparation to get ready. And I think 2023 is going to be a good year for the city here. Things are going to change in our ability to function and move forward on some of those kinds of monies that are available.
Thank you.
I guess I'll keep filling time for the 20 minutes if no one else will. So you're all good with the meeting times twice a month?
Yeah, I see where that's absolute minimum. You
Yeah.
know, I'm glad to see the council meets twice a month because I don't know how you can get stuff done any less time than that. You know,
We just worked till midnight,
whatever it takes.
and it still wasn't enough.
Yeah. Burning the midnight oil.
And committees, usually there's some ad hoc committees, although there's a few standing ones year over year. And you have an intent to run if from where you sit now, you would have intent to continue on with this?
I don't want to preempt that. I haven't even been through the interview yet, so I'd like to see how it fits for me as a civic-minded individual that has the skill set to bring to the table. But yeah, I intend to worry about this term, and then as we get closer to what would be November, when do you have to file?
May.
I think I'll let you know in May.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Or actually, it might be even earlier than that.
Yeah, so I forget exactly when the filing date is.
And what is the positions that are coming in?
What's that?
What would be the positions? that
Four.
would be- the-
Well, technically, there will be 3 city council positions that will be open this year. That'll be Levi, well, open in terms of they'll be up for election.
Right.
I'm not saying open as in they will have no incumbent, but it'd be Levi's, the Peters, which we're appointing now, and my own.
Position.
I'm 5, I believe. Peter was position 4.
I think I'm
3, 4, and 5.
4.
I think I'm up too.
So you're
You just
saying
went- I thought you
that
did a normal cycle
Levi
last time.
and yourself would be up for re-election?
Yes.
Come on.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, because I came
And
around
that's
on
position.
part of the regular cycle.
So,
Be positions 4.
3, 4, and 5.
3, 4, and 5.
You were correct.
Yeah.
3, 4, 5.
I'm number 5.
Three,
I'm the
4,
last
5,
man.
yeah.
3.
I've always been the
this,
last man.
and 5. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So when you're in a position number, which the number doesn't have any bearing, anything, it's
Just a number
it's a number.
for voting purposes.
Okay,
yes.
so are there positions that are 2-year or 4-year, or
No.
they're all,
I was initially confused on this as well
Okay.
because we've had so many instances of people needing to resign that it was making the cycles. I actually went back and looked for the last 10 years on the county website of when things came up. And it should be on the odd years, it's 4-year cycles. But it's kind of hard to track because there have been people who have been running on years that they wouldn't otherwise have been running on because of the resignations that happen. So, yeah, I thought initially there were 2- and 4-year cycles like there are with the school board, but no, it just appeared that way.
And it's staggered. There's 2 positions
Yeah,
every 2 years, or 2 positions 1 year, and
one
then 2
and
years
2
later
are
it's
together, 3,
3
4, and 5 are together.
that's the
Yeah.
staggering
Yeah.
every 2 years? When you see the ballot, it says short, or something, it says short, long term, I don't know.
I think that's with the school board maybe,
Oh,
but
okay.
I don't know if I've seen short attached to. Yeah.
Well, this one, it does expire in November, so that may be what you're,
Right, but in
Referring to-
November, the nice thing for this position is that you wouldn't like have to run back to back. If this was last year, you'd have to run back to back. But because Peter's term naturally would expire this year, that means that the election in November kicks off a full 4 years going forward. Well,
Any other questions for me? I might have some questions for the members.
absolutely. Yeah.
What does the city provide in terms of the members being able to do their job? Like an email through,
yeah,
you get a tablet?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
Is it iOS or is it?
yeah, it's iOS.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That makes my life, I've
What
worked on-
Steven said, that's what
Yeah,
it is.
so it's an iPad Air. We got it with the COVID money. We do have an email that goes with it.
Okay.
The caveat is that we don't have an IT person. There's just me, so the response times
So
are.
you qualify as an IT?
Well, yeah, but I'm also it's not my day job, so I do try to be responsive, but you know.
So you're the backstage manager for the tablets?
Yeah, and most, if not all, digital things, other than Springbrook probably is the biggest exception. But so yeah, once we have established who I'm setting the accounts up for, tomorrow sometime I'll start in on getting the machines, getting Peter's iPad re-imaged for the new person, and getting their email set up. But I wouldn't expect that to probably be done before early next week.
Are these like running on 16.2 or, I mean, whatever the iPad?
0.3 as of yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Great. So that I can handle really well. I ran a computer lab myself for the US Army pre-command course in Atlanta for 2 years. From here, remotely. I'd go there to actually set up the lab, but it's important. Connectivity for us to manage the knowledge that, because we're not all going to be sitting here, indefinitely. We all have busy lives. We have children or adult children. We have businesses, right? We have other responsibilities. So this is, the technology that helps us stay connected is vital to help shorten the learning curve. So I'm really excited to know when I see these big spools of expensive yellow or orange and blue cable
Yeah.
coming through town.
And I am. It's become more of a thing lately, which I enjoy. It means we have more engagement. I do get text messages during our streams, and one of them is asking you to speak up a little bit louder. I'm trying to do that myself.
Or are you saying for me to
Yeah.
speak up? Ah, thank you, text messages. I did, yeah.
Just sit right there.
Maybe
We're getting more and more engagement with our YouTube stream all the time.
All right, use your command voice. Yeah, it's, I think the technology is here, it's coming fast, and we need to embrace it for us to be able to accomplish what we're setting out to do as a community. And the leaders have to be current with the technology, because the kids at school and all the college, they're all way smarter than us, and we have to take advantage of, it's 2023. Let's use this to stay focused and connected, and I know there are a lot of distractions on it. I've recently kind of revolutionized my own relationship with my smart device, because I turned off notifications on text, so I wouldn't know if my voice was loud enough, because I'm not checking it right now. But that's all in settings.
Yeah.
But so okay, that's nice to know we have a dedicated piece of hardware, and it's up to the recipient to turn on or off notifications. If it's urgent, my hat answer for anybody in the community, if they need to get a hold of me, don't direct message or text, call. I feel that calling, especially if it's urgent, that's the best way to get a hold of people. So I think communication redundancy is important.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm good, I guess.
I'm good.
I'm good.
Yeah, pretty much answered it from your opening statement.
What was that?
Well, my other question was, is what interested you in becoming a council member?
That's a good question. Well, the short answer is being at the right place at the right time. I choose to live here. I've lived and visited dozens of countries. My roots are here.
Mm-hmm.
My family goes back 4, 5, 6 generations in Macon County, both my mom and dad. I raised 4 adult children here. I choose to keep showing up here. I think for me it's an evolution. Would I have wanted to do this 20 years ago? Yes, I would have. Was I able to commit to it then? Not really. So for me it's timing,
Right.
and the essence of brevity is wit.
Yeah.
But not to gild the lily, but I feel like for me, being of service to my community is paramount to, my own personal growth. But, when I moved here, I wasn't running a business here, I was running a family when I first moved to Harrington
Mm-hmm.
to raise my family here. Like I said, my family has deep roots here. So it wasn't like I just moved here and I have all these ideas from California or wherever, I'm a Washingtonian, and nothing against anybody that's
Oh,
just
yeah.
recently a new Harringtonite, but Harringtonian. But yeah, I think the heart of the matter for me is I have the time and the determination to commit to being of service. Yeah, at this stage of my life. But I also think that sometimes we do things later in life and we're prepared for it. Like the mayor was saying, preparation is like 80% of the job. When it comes to the water system plan, preparation. Where preparation meets opportunity, I see the opportunity to help fulfill the rest of Peter Davenport's term, and to get intimately involved with the running of the city from a responsibility of
Mm-hmm.
moving us forward.
Thank you. I could vouch for you anyways. I remember you a long time ago.
Yeah,
I know you're from here.
Didn't you used to play with my cousin Chris?
Yeah. Pat.
You guys grew up together? Yeah. So, yeah, it's great to see people from here continue to serve their community. I know your family's been around here for a while too. You know, like many of the headstones at the cemetery have our last names.
Yeah, yeah. All right, thank you.
Yeah, and another thing I wanted to add too, just, you know, because we have turnover in staff, whether it's a member of the council or the mayor, or, you know, these are election cycles, we represent the community that are voters. We also represent the community that aren't voters. Not everybody exercises that right. I personally believe very strongly in it, but when we no longer serve in this capacity, I think it's important that we embrace some ideas. Like for me, you know, at the end of, if I'm appointed, the council votes me. Is it a vote?
Yeah.
It's a vote,
Yeah.
but it's not an election. It's a vote. So there's 4 votes, or okay. So if the council, in its infinite wisdom, decides I'm the best fit, that's terrific. I embrace that. And so, when does that person hit the ground running? The vote, does that happen tonight? Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not letting you out of here.
About
We're getting-
about 7:30,
The iron's hot.
about an hour from now.
Yeah.
Okay. Call me if you need me to come down, and we'll work till midnight.
All right.
But the other thing I'd like to see, whoever is serving, to include you 4 gentlemen, is that if Peter's position, which has been vacated or unseated,
Yeah.
and I know he's got, you know, I see him on a regular basis as a neighbor, but I'd like to see us, if this isn't being implemented, I'd like to see us implement kind of what I call a smart book. Okay, one of the positions, they're all the same, right? So it doesn't matter which number it is, but if you're on a committee, for instance, and you're no longer serving as a member, what can we do to transition from a council member to a council member to do it smartly? How can we have a notebook with some fundamental, you know,
Playbook
cheat
on it,
sheet?
yeah.
Okay, welcome to the
Here's the
council.
accumulated knowledge from so-and-so's position.
Yeah, these are the projects that are
Okay.
ongoing, for instance, and this is the priority, you know, and there might be conflicting priorities. So, I mean, like suddenly there's a water main leak or something, that becomes the priority. But how do we delegate the responsibilities when our term is up and the mission continues, right? That'd be something I'd like to see entertained. I know that's something I would do at the beginning and through, you know, making notes and, you know, kind of collating the critical components. I could see that would help us as a community of leaders to continue to lead. It's like, you know.
Get a briefing and a debriefing, and you know,
Sure,
just so
I
you
mean-
know.
I mean, the council knows what other council members are doing or not doing, right? By what's getting done or not getting done, or who's showing up, right? Who's making the extra effort. If there's no other questions, I just want to close by saying I'll give it my best.
Thank you.
Well said.
Thanks, Jeff.
All right.
So did I use some extra time?
You did fine. We're good.
Thank you
6:30.
for the extra 8 minutes.
Yep.
I don't know if our person was outside waiting or not.
Oh, well, personally, I can invite him in, but it's not like it's a public, isn't it a public?
Yes, it is.
I figured there would be
More people?
more people
Could there
doing this
be?
interview.
As did
Let's
I.
watch him squirm.
Bit all about him, yeah.
Did you guys have to go through this?
No.
No. Okay, let me ask you, why are you serving?
Well, my main goal was to deal with the maintenance, the infrastructure,
Okay,
and the civil duty
yes,
to the community.
yeah.
I'm 60 years old now, and you know,
No cars out there that I
You kind
recognize.
of led to it a little bit, that when you're time in your life and you're ready. And some of
That
it's
would be
maturity, that has nothing to do with age, but.
I made calls yesterday to each one of them.
You got
I just
hold
see that,
Did
you
not
know, a lot of
physically
things
get
happening
hold
to
of
the
any
city
of them,
right
but
now.
they all
that
have
been put in
message
motion
machines.
50, 60 years ago. And
And of
nothing
course,
seemed to
this
have
was
been-
posted,
and I thought maybe I could help,
so,
like with our water pipes, all this stuff. Our maintenance
So-
department, our equipment is dilapidated and just beyond repair. That was my main goal coming in. And then, you know, you're blindsided, but well, whoever gets in, you'll see. But, you know, there's always something, but those are all, you being in the Army, you would understand some of the bureaucratic,
Oh, yes.
chain. So,
What's the
It won't be
maximum
anything new.
effective range of a M16?
300
meters.
Yeah,
What's the maximum effective range of an excuse?
forever. None, zero, I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
So, no, that's,
so what does the mayor and the council see as a group? If there's a consensus, what is the next 6
Priorities?
months like in terms of like pressing?
well,
Do we have a consensus?
I'm pushing hard to get our water system plan done so we can take it to the next step and start looking at different options. What that plan will do primarily is it will basically map out the whole water system here. And then it will point out, prioritize the parts that need to be addressed first. So that's why it's so important. And then the grant readers and what have you, they're looking at that to make sure that you're looking for, monies for what's a priority. Not to add a fire plug someplace where it's not needed.
Yeah, 'cause it kind of seems like the water infrastructure has been kind of like a wild.
I think the rest of it is, yeah,
There
I
is-
think the water is gonna be the
What is it,
most
Jess?
priority.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Okay. That section down there on Willis, how many patches are in like an 8 or 10 foot section on that?
oh, at
how many
least
fingers you
5.
have?
Okay,
I think we used at least 6 packs of bubble gum.
exactly.
Yeah,
And
I
today,
mean-
one more was put on.
yeah.
I heard a story about a geyser earlier today.
Yes, there was.
Okay.
Once the dirt was moved, and there was nothing obstructing the water hole from, it was, if I've showed you that picture, where somebody dug down there at one time and
They cut or
one of the claws of the backhoe went right down the pipe as they found it. We don't dig with the backhoe anymore. We dig with the vacuum truck. So we
Yeah. that's
we
what I tried
put
doing
water
that.
in and
That's
we
smart.
suck the dirt out.
Yeah, that's good.
So, at any rate, yes, our public works man, when I went down there this morning, was taking a bath. I literally, I tell you no story, he's sitting in water, chest high.
We run a clean city.
Yes, we do. And he said the water wasn't as cold as you might think it was, till he got out. So he's sitting in water chest deep after the back truck had sucked it out and it's blowing out of there up in the tree about 20 feet. And at that point, he's down in there putting a band around it
and clamping it
and
down.
clamping the band down. So when I left here at about 12:40 to go to lunch today, they were both down there soaked from head to toe. Troy was dumping his boots out. So it's not a fun job fixing
No.
that. And there was 3 bands that I could see in the
That
hole.
were already on the line.
Yes. So it's no longer bubbling up.
This is good.
Okay.
Well, I think that's it.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome.
So was the plan to let the other people that are here for interviews sit, or is this going to be a one-on-one?
It's up to them.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's up to them, it's public, so.
Well, our next interviewee is Chris Moritz. Would you like to give one of those
Yes.
questionnaires to Chris?
Chris, I'm gonna ask you to sit down a little closer to the mic, because usually we don't have quite as much audience participation, but for this,
Well,
we need
no,
someone.
actually, you may have to come back. So, let me make sure, Jeff, that I got the right thing here. I know I do, because I called you. Yeah. Well, that's where the phone came from. I've got them right here. Yes, I've got your number.
Scream.
Sitting here,
Pick it up now.
getting all these
So-
papers messed up.
I picked 3 questions. If you wouldn't mind, at some point
At any
in time,
rate,
picking one of them.
if this turns out the
you're most
next thing
comfortable
is
with.
at
Just check
7
one of
o'clock,
these.
we're gonna
Just
call
one of
it.
those for me.
Well, none of them really look all that interesting. I mean, I could come up with it.
We had one back on.
I mean, Levi and I had a great time the other day talking about all sorts of stuff.
There'll be no downvotes, there'll be a.
Okay.
Okay, because
You have to
vacated started or
Yeah,
vacated.
I mean, it's not for Jeff, technically it's for us, so.
And then it's going to be Christmas, a show of hands, and then we're planning on immediately swearing you in, and you will receive it with a
Year
year
before.
Any
or
questions?
whoever it
Chris?
winds up.
Yes. Can you guys continue, because there's a mic over there is the only reason.
Sorry.
Okay.
Did I move this year?
Okay, Chris, you want to lead off with Joe's questions, since I believe Jeff started his response to one of Joe's questions.
Just, if you don't mind, I just thought I would just write them down and pick any one and let me know what you think.
What do you mean, write them down? They're written down.
I wrote them down. I would just like you to elaborate on any of those questions that
Oh.
you choose, that you feel you're comfortable with.
Okay. Looks like number 2 is kind of interesting.
Go for it.
Compatibility. Probably government experience would be nice. Being able to read the WACs and the RCWs and understand them. And I do have to say, you have an extremely good handle on Robert's Rules of Order.
I do?
Yes, you do.
Oh, no.
I had a position one time where I was president of an organization, and I had to be on my toes all the time. I really don't know what to say. I was expecting you guys to really, just throw
Really?
questions at me.
Oh, I have the number, don't worry about that. I'm just letting these guys go first. Okay, so I guess that means it is.
Availability,
Yeah, okay,
availability
to you.
would be another one,
Okay.
Availability.
and that I am. Okay.
Okay. So, 2 questions I was going to ask to all the candidates. You can answer in any order you would prefer. Are you aware of any decisions from the council in the past few years where you would have taken a dissenting view or something you wished would have gone differently than it did? And then the second question on that. Oh, goodness. What's the second question? I have it written down. Why don't you start with the first one first, and it'll come to my mind before we get to the second one.
There was one decision made several years ago that I don't think there was enough attention made to it. I don't know how I would have voted, but it was a little controversial, and I would like to have seen it followed through.
What was the decision in that?
It's the bunny thing.
Okay.
You're not talking about Easter.
No.
I know the former clerk.
Former clerk.
Yes.
What does ESD have to do with Bunny?
Easter.
East.
Okay.
Sorry.
And I remember the second one, just on the tip of my head there for a sec. What do you think the largest challenges facing the city are?
I don't know what the challenges are. I don't know that they've come out with anything. I haven't seen anything. When I've been here, there've just been certain little tiny things that have been settled, but I don't know that there are any huge challenges.
Okay.
I was pleased to see that you got the bank building, because I think that's important for the library. That was probably something that I was really looking forward to seeing happen.
Okay. So with, just to make sure I'm clear on your answer, so challenges in terms of you don't see any type of structural or governmental or financial points of emphasis that would be difficult for the city to navigate in the upcoming years?
I don't think so. When you talk about structural, I have no idea what you've talked about in the past other than from the times that I was here.
Okay.
Financial, I've been around for a little bit to find out what's going on there. And I have a lot of things that I would like to have changed that doesn't have anything to do with the city necessarily.
Okay.
He knows what they are.
What would some of those be?
I would like to get somebody in here to do something about the traffic. I live on Coal Creek Road. You've been there.
Mm-hmm.
And the traffic there is anywhere from 35 to 70, 80 miles an hour coming down that hill, and then the truckers going up the hill. It's not safe. It's not right. Everybody else follows the rules. And I was sitting in my living room the other day, and in the course of about 15 minutes, there was a deputy sheriff that stopped 4 people. So there is business there.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions from you guys, or else I'll ask the same ones as far as
I'll just ask the same one I asked Jeff, is what prompted your interest in becoming a council member?
When the position became open, I've been attending the meetings for a while, for about the last year and a half or so, off and on, and developed an interest. I plan on sticking around for a while. There for a while, I was wondering whether I was going to beat a path over to the other side of the mountains again, but I've decided that I'm not going to do that. And I've always been involved, no matter where it was and what I was doing. So I want to get involved.
Okay.
And from where you sit here, do you have an intent towards potentially running when the position comes up again?
Peter posed that to me,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, I just have to see how it goes.
Okay.
Because if I'm enjoying myself, and if I'm getting work done, and there's lots of stuff to do, I would be more than happy to keep going.
Okay. And I asked Jeff, but I already know the answer because you've been here regularly, about, that our schedule is twice a month. The involvement being for the rest of this being a one-year term, as far as the rest of this appointment is to the end of this year. Committee involvement there's ad hoc committees, and then there's a few standing ones like the budget committee. So I just wanted to make sure that all of our candidates are aware of the expectations involved.
I'm available,
Okay.
and if I'm not, I can be made available.
Okay. I think that was all the things I ran through with Jeff.
Pretty close,
Did I miss
I think.
anything? I mean, there's a few follow-on questions here and there, and I asked different follow-on questions to your answers as well, but
Well, did you have any questions of
Yeah.
us?
yeah.
Maybe. Sitting on the city council, do you have assigned positions, or are you the committee chair of anything?
There's no hierarchy on the council.
So all for one and one for all.
Mhm.
Do you meet for any other time other than just the 2 times a month as a council?
Special meetings.
As needed, yeah.
As needed. I mean, there was instances like with the emergency with the pipe, and we have workshops that are open public meetings that while, like for the budget, we had not all of us, but we had most of us here during some of the budget discussions, and that was OPMA compliant. So as far as all 5 of us, that's probably more of a rare thing, but involvement started to gravitate towards more people showing up when it's obviously when it's just a 2-person committee. That doesn't have to be OPMA because there's not a quorum present. But we've been doing more things as OPMA and streaming it so that we can have all 5 members present if possible.
Yeah. So, I know when the water line broke, it was, I think it was just coincidence that just about all of us showed up here at the same time without being called, so.
I think I saw the bat symbol. Up in the
Oh, okay, yeah, something like that, yeah. So.
Jess, you spoke a little bit with Jeff. Do you have any?
Jeff had asked a question of what we had planned, and as I told him, that the work was done mostly in '22 to get us prepared for '23. Yes, there's several things that are still pending, like our water system plan. Without a water system plan in place, you can't play.
Well,
It's-
thank you very much for getting the pipes fixed and finding the place for the money to come from, and
I can't take credit for all that. That was a group effort, and it came together. We couldn't have asked for it to work any better. It took a long time to get it started, but everybody came together, and we were given a gift there that I don't have words to explain.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, thank you for the money that we got to. This would have been a major struggle.
well, if you operated in a hole, you never would have been able to find that grant to be able to get the work done. So,
The money is out there at this current time. You just have to meet the criteria. And our situation, turned out to be an emergency that gave us the ability to meet that criteria. And the people on the Public Works Board said, this is the perfect storm. This is exactly what we're waiting for. And there it was. We were a candidate for a considerable large amount of money that a normal city could not pull off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
And the funds were there, and we've had good relations with several contractors, and it's all come together. And as of today, it's done. Other than cleanup, which will probably be, I'm gonna say late April.
After the thaw.
Well, when
And the
the
dry.
ground is capable of having equipment drive across it without turning it into a mud hole. So when it gets a little drier, then we're gonna take out the old pipe and get that whole thing cleaned back up and looking the way it was, or better than it was.
better, always better.
So,
Do you have any other questions for us?
I have just one, and you probably wouldn't be able to answer it, especially in a group like this, but how do you feel about working with a woman on the city council, since there's never been one?
There has.
Has there?
Terry Howe
Terry
sat with
Howe.
me 6 years ago, 7
Oh,
years
so
ago.
it's been a while.
And then
Terry was awesome.
Sherry McClellan.
Yeah.
She was, how long was Sherry on? I don't remember.
not.
It wasn't very long.
It wasn't very
Just a
long.
couple months? Or was it 2 years?
Yeah.
But that was only, well, that was,
She filled another vacancy.
yeah.
Yes.
She's vacancy, and then she stepped into the mayor's position for a week, 2 weeks.
Right. Yeah, so it's happened a few times. Yeah.
And
Yeah, Terry was on for a full term and then I think a half a term after that.
Yeah.
I think she was 5 or 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Terry was awesome.
was there
She's funny.
wife?
No, Tara worked for the city.
She's a treasurer.
Yes.
Yeah, and then that's,
Yeah, and Terry Howe, yeah, it was Mark Gossett's cousin. Yeah, she was. Well, she is. She's still alive, but she moved to Montana.
Continue to learn new things about.
Well, what kind of things have you guys got planned for the next couple of months?
It's a long list. I mean, we've got water system plan stuff, taking care of pipes in the ground. There might be things with the water tank that continue on. The move to the bank building, making sure our new clerk is well established and trained up. The water system plant, that redo is gonna, I'm guessing gonna continue to have more and more things as we ramp up into that. It's a long list.
We've got a city property that we have to
Yep.
decide what we're gonna do with, or the McGregor building is.
Keep
As well
moving
as
forward
deciding
with
that.
our code enforcement.
We're due for another revision of the handbook.
Yeah.
We're gonna try and do quarterly budget reviews.
All those little things that you saw,
Mm-hmm.
they're just gonna keep rolling right along.
Well, I'm sure that there's never a point in time where there isn't anything to do. I was just kind of curious. Because there are many things that I've never heard when I've been here that I know that you guys work on.
The other thing I was gonna add to the agenda, because I was just informed of it today, is that the chamber website's going live, which means the city's place on the existing one is going away. So we need to talk about what we're gonna do about our own website, which is kind of a website that's not a website. It was primarily obtained just for the email addresses and the short links that we get. We've never tried to develop the website that's there. It's just been sitting, so. A whole bunch of things to discuss. Credit card, library stuff, credit card for the library, and another question on what are the names of the credit cards. I mean, it's a long list.
Yeah,
Okay.
all those little things.
You don't have to be bored.
I didn't think I was going to be, but, so, any other questions? You know them all.
Mm-hmm.
You know the answers to all of them.
Okay.
I'm good.
I'm good.
So,
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Well, we got about 8 minutes.
Chris.
If you, well, so if we're done here at
we can start execs.
6:52, I would like to close the public session here. And if you have no problem with us opening early,
Yeah.
okay?
Well, the agenda is not actually, the agenda is listed as a single
Yeah.
meeting, so we're fine.
We normally start at 7 o'clock, but if you want to start into executive session now, that's fine with me. So at 6:53, we will call the regular city council meeting for the city of Harrington, January 25th, officially open at 6:52. Okay? First thing on our agenda tonight is to have roll call. So, council position 1, Joe Armand.
I am here.
Council position 2, David Budrus.
Present.
Council position 3, Stephen Hardy.
Present.
And council position 5, Levi Shank.
Present.
Very good.
Is that a shock?
Any additions to the agenda?
Yeah, I have two. One, I want to talk about the website, and then also I want to talk about the email that Jerry sent out before his departure that was forwarded regarding the gentleman who wants to open up a tattoo business. There was a question there that I think slipped through our slipped by, so.
Okay? Anything else? Well, at this time, we've scheduled a executive session. Do you gentlemen have any idea how long you think that will take you to discuss the two people interested in filling council position 4?
I'd start with 20.
I was gonna say 20 minutes.
I was rattling in my head.
7:30?
So it's
Yeah, we can't come out before
7:20, we'll be back?
Well,
Okay.
it would be 7:15, but,
We could probably make
We
it,
can always extend if we
yeah, we
have
can always
to.
yeah,
extend.
let's go,
Yeah.
yeah, shorter.
All right, so executive session starting at 6:55, returning at 7:15.
Okay.
Okay, we are back.
Back live.
About 4 chords here.
Okay, let me bring that up here.
All those procedures.
Mm-hmm.
He has a printed copy, and I emailed it to everybody. So-
Yeah, but I'm pulling it up just from the email.
I printed
Council
it off.
vacancy, page
You
10.
wanna see it? Yeah.
Did you give him?
Okay.
Yeah.
I know you don't like paper, but here it is.
No, I got it here.
Okay?
Okay, with your permission, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to read the appointment process
Okay.
that we agreed to last meeting. This is from the city of Issaquah, the appointment position for a council vacancy. At the determined council meeting in open session, the nomination and election process will proceed as follows. 1. The mayor calls for nominations. 2. When there are no further nominations, the mayor announces that nominations are closed. 3. Nominees are then voted on in the order the nominations were made. The vote is taken by voice and show of hands. 4. The process continues until a nominee receives a majority of the votes, which in this case would be 3 since we were at even 2 and 2. But this method requires that a council member wishing to vote for a candidate appearing later in the list of nominees withhold their vote from early nominees in order to reserve their vote for their favored nominee. 5. The first nominee receiving a majority vote is declared the new council member. If there is a tie vote, the mayor may choose whether or not to break the tie. If the council fails to select an appointee from the nominees presented, the council may A. Recess into executive session to discuss the qualification of applicants. B. Make a motion to revote on the nominees. C. Make a motion to reopen the nominations and add to the initial slate. Once nominated, no candidate is removed from consideration unless they withdraw. D. Make a motion to postpone the vote on nominees. E. Solicit additional information from the applicants and nominees. Or F. Make any other allowable motion under Robert's Rules of Order. So, step 1, the mayor calls for nominations.
So we have 2 people who have put pen to paper and asked to be nominated for council position number 4. The first one of those who turned in the paperwork was Jeff Talkington. So at this time, I'd like to ask the council to give an upvote.
So nominations first. So,
Okay. And the second one is Chris Moritz.
so
Those 2.
Mr. Mayor, I nominate Jeff Talkington and Chris Moritz.
Second on that?
No, it's just
No, we don't
nomination.
need to?
Yeah. And then we are on to step 3. The nominees are then voted on in the order the nominations were made, which is Jeff and then Chris.
Okay.
Vote is taken by voice and show of hands.
So the first one is Jeff Talkington. Do a voice first.
Voice and show of hands. So
Okay. Okay. Any others? Okay. Second one is Chris Moritz.
aye.
So Chris Moritz is nominated to be our next council position.
Appointed.
Pardon me?
Appointed.
Appointed, excuse
Yes,
me.
appointed.
And at this time, we would like to continue on with this and swear in Chris. So Chris, if you'd like to come over and repeat after me.
Go slow.
Pardon me?
Go slow.
So, I, Chris Moritz,
I, Chris Moritz,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and the laws of the state of Washington
and the Constitution and the state
and the laws of the state of Washington and all the local ordinances,
and all the local ordinances,
and that I will faithfully and impartially
and that I will faithfully and impartially
perform and discharge the duties of the office of City Council Position Number 4. And that I will and that I will faithfully and impartially perform and discharge
I will faithfully and impartially discharge
the duties of the office of City Council Position Number 4
the duties of City Council Position Number 4
for the city of Harrington, Washington,
for the city of Harrington, Washington,
according to the law and the best of my ability.
according to the law and the best of my ability.
Congratulations, you are now City Council
Thank you,
Position
sir.
Number 4. Please have a seat at the table, Chris. Welcome aboard.
Brace yourself. Did she have a computer yet?
Huh?
Oh, I'm gonna like this.
Does she have a computer?
Not today, she doesn't.
Well, where is it?
Peter's in the.
I think it's still sitting in his mail slot.
I mean, they have to be
No.
configured to a specific email address,
Right.
and I don't know which email address that is until we appoint, so it's not, yeah.
So you'll have to, maybe go over that shoulder if you want.
So Chris, I know you don't have an electronic issue. We'll see if we can give you a copy of the minutes here.
I do have a 10-inch, 10.5-inch.
You'll have one, not today, but very shortly. The city has one for you. Stephen will get you hooked up with that.
Yes.
Oh,
I
did
have
it?
one at home that I'm not using.
So if we could get a motion to accept the minutes and bring it to the floor for discussion?
So moved.
This is, I'm sorry, minutes.
We're discussing minutes.
I'll second.
Well, there's only one thing I see in there is the misspelling of Councilman's last name, Armand,
Yeah.
last name.
That was actually already fixed, but we didn't reprint new ones
Okay.
yet.
Yeah, why,
And the other thing that I noted, and this is just gonna kill me, because Cynthia's gonna love this, but she got my name wrong again
Really? Oh, did you?
at the move to adjourn. I'm sorry, Cynthia.
What did she call you?
I'm sorry. She got it right on the top part, council members, but she spelled it with a V.
Harvey?
No, Stephen.
Sorry. I couldn't, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and that was supposed to get corrected also, I brought that to their attention.
and Chris is.
Other than that, I didn't see any issues, so.
And that,
That's okay.
for the record, that Chris Moritz's name.
We'll wait and see
Oh, yeah,
see what
okay.
she calls you when I get home tonight.
Here's that.
No, I'm just kidding, you know that. That's not her nature.
No, she'll be apologizing to me far more than she
It
needs to.
probably will be,
Yeah.
yes. So we have a motion and a second to accept the minutes as written with a couple
See, Drew.
of changes there,
Corrections.
corrections.
Yes.
I don't feel comfortable voting without having read it. I don't feel comfortable voting on it without reading it first.
You can abstain.
Yeah, just abstain.
Okay, I
Okay,
can do that.
any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. 4. And 1 abstention?
Yes.
Okay.
401.
Next thing on the agenda is to approve the claims. You want to pass that to Chris? Here's the claims.
Yeah.
So she has a copy there.
The checks.
You sure?
Going to be
That
written,
would be, yeah,
will be, haven't been yet.
like I asked you to do in the first place about a year and a half.
Move to approve.
Second.
Is it just this one,
Yeah.
8 items?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Harrington clerk claims.
So is this, do we not have any payroll? Well, we
No.
wouldn't,
No, there'll be no payroll.
right, but we still have, even though it's going through Leffel, Lewis, and Warwick, we still need to,
There's no payroll in there? Yes, there should be.
I mean, technically that is a different document, we don't need to deal with that at the moment, we can just address claims right now, but
No, it's not in there.
no.
We're going to have to, well, I could bring that to each one of you possibly tomorrow and
Well, we'll have to approve it the next meeting.
okay? We'll go against our newest
No, but I will now.
change here in which we've been approving them in the past. That's where we've always done it, but we'll get that squared away and get that up to date for the next meeting.
I do have a question on 6. Well, actually, sorry, we might be getting ahead of ourselves. I moved to the approval. Was there a second? Oh, Levi seconded.
Levi
Okay,
seconded.
so we're in discussion. Line 6, Harrington Truck and Auto supplies for shop. Just what kind of supplies did we get?
So you've got a tire on there for the snow plow, you've got a battery for the one with the wheel on the front, our brush.
Oh, yeah.
You've got tires on there very possibly this time for the, no, that wasn't from Harrington Truck and Auto.
That's not as expensive as I thought it was.
Do I have those, if you'd like to see those here?
The deposit books, is that about a year's supply?
Pardon me?
The deposit books that you ordered, is that about a year's supply?
It should be, and that it may be even more.
Okay.
They're rather expensive because they have triplicates on them.
Is that number 7? It says deposit ticks.
Yes,
Okay.
I believe that's
Those are
what,
deposit books.
And then item 1, is Northwest Corporate Council, is that Bingman?
yes, it is.
Okay.
And that's
That's-
actually for 2 months there,
Right, okay,
for November and December.
right.
Where are you seeing that?
Northwest
Oh,
Corporate
way up
Council.
there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Utility franchise agreement.
Concentrated on that.
Yeah.
And I can tell you part of that is him going through one of the ordinances we're voting on later on this evening
Okay.
to make sure that it checked all the boxes.
It was our franchise agreement,
Yes.
and there was also several calls in there about some changes that were made to misconfiguration, I think, of bias is what we called it.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I'm good.
I am also.
So we have a motion on the floor to accept the claims. And a second. All in favor? Any further discussion, excuse me?
No.
No?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I will abstain until I know a little bit more about it.
Okay, 4-0.
1.
401, thank you. Next on the list is Ordinance 509. Ordinance 509 is our franchise agreement with IGG. You should have all had a copy of that to read. This has already been signed by Jeff Yunt from IGG, waiting our approval only.
Yeah.
So this is the second one. We were ready to vote on that last meeting and we did not have an A for an action item.
Right.
When was that originally written up? Just out of curiosity.
That came from the city of Odessa, and Joe spent, I can't tell you how many hours going
Yeah.
through and changing that.
I'm just looking through my emails right now. For,
When it was sent,
yeah. Was that back in December or?
No,
No, it was probably.
the 11th of January
Okay.
from Joe, titled Ordinance 509.
Okay. All right, here we go.
And really all this document is saying is that Interwest is putting in a fiber cable through town. And we're basically, they
Right.
call it a franchise agreement, it's basically the approval to use the city's right of way.
Okay.
And then it's all, hey, if you screw it up, you gotta fix it.
I don't have it, so
Do you want me to send it to you again?
I don't have enough time to go through it, so.
I'm assuming that's all the schools of cable that I'm seeing sitting out on.
Oh, that map, yeah.
And this
Yeah.
is,
And as I said, oh, excuse me, go ahead.
Yeah, because they got all the cable sitting right
This
here.
was approved by our lawyer this went through David Bingham a couple different times. And we rewrote it, Joe rewrote it.
Yeah, because this
I
is.
haven't seen the written plan.
and just to make sure I'm clear, this is the evolution of the document you brought with Scott.
No,
No.
this is different. The
That's the next one.
build is
Oh, that's the other,
different, and
okay,
then- yeah.
right, okay.
Do you have a date
This
on
when we
that?
first got it. Yeah, it's the 11th
Yeah, I read through this one
Oh.
before, so.
of January.
I can send it real fast, David, if you want.
I've never seen it. How come I don't have that?
I'll put it into discussion. Move to adopt ordinance 509 as presented.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
David, I just sent it again.
Okay. Wonder why that.
Out of curiosity, as a person is looking to Exhibit A under Northern Access, that yellow line coming from the north from Coffee Pot is crossing ground that is not the city's, right?
That's correct.
Yes.
So they're separately
So they are
obtaining-
paying the farmer who owns that
By
X
the way.
number.
There's been an easement's been signed
Okay,
already.
they've given an easement
It's
for it.
already in
Yeah.
place.
Okay.
It's also not, I don't believe it's noted on here, but they are going to put an access point at the road where it crosses to go to our piece of property across the street. There'll be a manhole, a box, some sort of way for us to access the cable at that point and run cable fiber to the Johnson Family Towing
Thank
Building.
you. I forgot about that. We talked about that when we were talking about the McGregor lease.
I
and
added it into our build too, so you're covered.
You're always
I
on
did
top
it.
of things,
It's-
Janice.
So
All the
I,
outlining areas that I could up out to culverts,
Awesome.
so.
Thank you. That is awesome.
And to clarify, if I remember our last meeting, what we're doing with this franchise agreement really is just, they're passing through. That's not servicing, their equipment is not servicing Harrington at all. It's just, That's for the county to come in, but they're going to,
This is Microsoft building across country.
yeah. So, but because he's putting in a building and he's doing some other things, the county is then gonna benefit from that, and I think that's built into the next agreement that we're looking at.
Where are they gonna put the building?
The building's gonna be next to the, you'll be looking out your back window at it there.
Back south, or
Yeah.
west?
It's gonna be down in the hole where we wash out the vac truck right now.
Which seems appropriate for most of the content on the internet.
Yes, Lincoln County has an agreement with IVG to use their co-location facility for our build.
Which I'm guessing saves the county a fair chunk of money.
Well, it saves the grant funds to
Okay.
go to permitting and any rise in costs for materials and procurement for materials and construction. So, but yeah, they're about anywhere from $75,000 to $125,000 to build, so.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Is that considered a floodplain? A floodplain?
I think it is, if I remember the map correctly. I believe that is in what we consider.
Let's hope not. That's where our wastewater treatment plant is, so.
No, I believe it
It's
is.
a little
I
higher.
remember that map. Does that make any difference?
So do you know what we're doing?
Okay.
Yeah, you're talking about the little building that's gonna have all the servers and stuff on
Yeah,
it?
there's the wastewater treatment area,
I mean, they
and
prefer
that would
not
be
to
the
be in a
building that
floodplain,
goes
but-
right there.
Um,
What you can get.
Because this is fenced and gated.
It's the building where they're
They
gonna
only
grow
get
the
floods down there,
interwebs.
what, like every 30
Yeah, I
or
was gonna say,
35 years, so.
where they're gonna put their servers or whatever.
Yeah, basically their equipment to power it on.
And this right here is what you were talking about?
The green
Or-
line?
Yeah,
Can
the
I
green
see
one.
Yeah, that's.
I can't
that's
Proposed
see.
his-
site,
That's his
aerial view
fiber
of where
cable.
they're gonna build?
Ah, okay.
I know he said where they wash out, but
So he's paying.
For
Yeah.
someone
IGG
to
or
go
for
across the
our,
line.
for Lincoln County's build?
that building that we're talking about,
It's gonna be right next to the actual hut that's there right now,
yeah, that's what.
actual sewer building.
And then this is how it's
Just
gonna
off
be
to, if you're
town.
looking at the map, I think off
And then once it
just
gets to here.
to the
It'd
side
be
of the
si-
city.
Yeah, just over here?
Yep,
Okay.
just to the
Yeah, so
right
it's
of.
just this side.
Oh, it's going
Yeah.
right
To the
by.
right, so
Yeah,
east of
'cause
it.
there's a school.
After you go
yeah.
through the first gate, it'll
Yeah.
be just past the first pole,
Okay.
Are gonna bury it.
maybe 100
They've
feet
got
or so
this
into
directional
the,
board.
Okay.
into the area in there.
So cool. I didn't want any more
If you go to
wires.
the right of that, that's my
It's like a,
property.
Right.
it's like a spider's web right now.
Yeah.
Well, that's all this here.
Just go out there in the dead of night and start
Right
running
here,
equipment
they're
around
gonna have
the
to
building.
bore underneath the track. But they're taking care of all of that.
Well, that shouldn't be as much trouble as it was trying.
No, does that
The pipe.
terminate up at the park, Jim? It's a lot easier than me trying to describe.
As long as they catch it, yeah.
It ends right there as far as their
Has anybody ever mentioned the goats
I
in
don't know,
town?
I didn't,
Yes.
last time.
I didn't even know they were there until the other day. And then it's like there was a herd of
To
goats.
see if we could get
back
them
into
to
the
go further on
Okay.
Yeah, I
23,
know
but
there was
it's,
a herd
I
of
don't know.
goats, but I didn't know that they were there until I heard them. And then
I was
they
just
were
curious.
sprawling all around in
I think
there.
that they're gonna be going.
They're gonna start to stink.
It's gotta go
There's-
further.
My daughter's had goats.
Ah,
And then over across Idaho.
Many challenges.
okay.
Yeah.
Unless they change that.
Awesome, now
I
we
think
know
it-
above ground.
I think they were just outlining the town.
See if I
Okay.
got any better pictures here. That other file I sent you, David, that you requested, I believe has the site, a better picture of that
I
site.
think, I mean, I'm good, right, I mean, don't kind of knock yourself out on that right now, it's not that big. Do they have a proposed date when they're gonna start that?
They're gonna start surveying possibly this week
Okay, so it's,
or next
Right
week.
along.
That's TDH is going to do the surveying and they're gonna dig a hole down there. So if you see a guy with a backhoe, he's digging a 10-foot hole. They wanna see what kind of is underneath that before they build a building on it. So We're gonna have a geotech there to inspect the dirt that's 10 feet below the building, so should there be an earthquake, the building doesn't go anywhere.
Collapse.
Yeah, someplace you can go, keep going.
Okay.
Then the back there on that particular shelf, they probably could get into some basalt
So
very shallow.
I only have to go down 8 inches in my yard, so
We good to vote?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Mayor,
Okay,
for orders?
we got a motion and a second on the floor to approve ordinance 509, which is the franchise agreement with IIG for the site for the Coalition Building. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same? 5-0. Thank you, council. Next on the agenda is approval of ordinance 510, which is virtually the same thing, all of you except Chris has had a copy for over a month of this. These were sent out to all of you, and it's the same thing by the county. It's been approved by Josh Grant. And is there another lawyer too on there?
The prosecuting attorney, Adam Walser, that's gone through both of them.
So this one has been gone through by Josh Grant, and it's the county's version of the same thing we just talked about.
And these copies are just a couple of
I've seen
typo
that
fixes
one.
that I had fixed.
I don't have a copy
that
of it.
Stephen had
I should
pointed
say,
out.
I didn't get an email with it.
Okay, so this is actually a better one?
Yeah.
We have
Yeah,
a hard copy
those
of that.
five-
And do these only
Yeah,
need
they're all
my
sitting there.
signature?
They do.
Okay, so we only need one of these, then, right, Janet?
No, I need all three of them signed, because I need one, the county needs one, and I'll leave one here.
So I'm
I
gonna,
think,
File
wasn't
this
there
out.
a term,
okay.
Yeah, they're good.
so many years that franchise go for?
There's a reason Stephen doesn't like paper.
There's a, I filled in the date of the last
50.
meeting.
5-0. If I remember right.
I filled in the date of the last meeting and today's meeting, and so you just need to put how many members of the council.
When I turn 87, I'll see if they renew it.
Okay,
And then probably put a date next to your signature.
okay.
By the time that rolls around, I
I
won't
won't
know
even
what the
remember
internet
it.
is anymore.
Well, do we need any other discussion on that?
Well,
Is there any more discussion?
Move to adopt ordinance 510 and approve the emeritus
510.
to sign the ordinance.
Okay,
I'll second.
Joe, second. Any further discussion? All in favor of accepting ordinance 510, signify by saying aye.
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 Oppose the same? Excellent.
Thank you, council.
Thank you for
Thank you.
watching out for the McGregor building and catching that stuff. Great.
Next on the agenda is approval of the contract with Leffel Olson and Warwick, Otis and Warwick, which has not been
110.
put to paper yet. It's not all done. We're waiting for one piece. Hopefully that's coming tomorrow, which gives them the right to transfer money out of our accounts, so we'll hope that happens tomorrow. So we can't vote on that tonight. If we go back to additions to the agenda, the website. You're up, Stephen.
Well, just a sec. So, I could be wrong on this. We should double check with AWC. But I believe the council can authorize the mayor to enter into a contract. Do we know what are there any significant concerns in order to enable you to sign tomorrow?
We
What
can
are the-
approve him to do it.
What are the
You
what are the-
already did that last time.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yes, but the problem is we haven't, with LOW, has not put it to paper or anything to sign at this point.
Well, right, but is it in question as to whether it'll be different than what we had already approved?
No, it's
okay.
just,
So
there's a couple
You can
boxes
sign it
need to be.
without
Yeah.
our approval.
Yeah.
Well, you're approved from council to sign that.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
just don't have it, it's not all complete on their end. There's one thing that a box that's gotta get checked before they can proceed.
So just to be clear, at this time, we're not expecting that there is an action item of the council on that yet to come?
No,
Right,
no.
okay. Okay, website thing. I was informed by Heather Slack today, and I'm sure Joe with his involvements on chamber stuff could speak to this more than I can, but apparently their new website's about to go live, and the city's losing its free ride on that, because city hasn't had a website. We've had, the Commerce website has had many city things on it, and we've posted notices there and that kind of stuff, but the city has not had a website that we've maintained and paid for. Now, if you go to harrington.city, you'll see a WordPress site that has not had anything done with it, and I've very much been purposeful with not doing that, because I'm concerned that I'm already concerned that I'm doing enough IT things for free that if something was to happen to me, that the city would not fully appreciate what it might have to pay in order to keep up its level of service. And if I start maintaining a website additionally on top of that, it makes the city more dependent. I can't, nor am I interested in making an offer of a contract to the city, because I can't be employed like that as a councilman. So it somewhat precludes my involvement in the matter. And we got harrington.city primarily just to have email addresses. And then we've also used the subdomains to have various links like youtube.harrington.city, but we haven't developed the website. So we're losing our only web presence pretty soon.
What does it take, what would it cost? What's all involved in getting our own website?
So we already have the domain name, we already have hosting that's attached to it, because that's how we got the emails with the hosting. It's just, you would need someone to actually develop, like pick a WordPress thing, put the content on it. In other words, the structure is there, to use the analogy. Someone needs to come in and paint it and decorate it.
How time consuming would that be for like a clerk? Or, not to add more jobs there, Jay, I'm sorry.
Well,
Or more work for you, but how intense is it? Is it hours per day?
well,
Or is it per week?
that question depends on what is our vision for what should be there, and I'll outline that in stark terms. So if we just have static things about, or mostly static things about the city, like this is the mayor, this is our phone number, this is our location, things that just don't change month to month, it's basically nothing, so to speak. I mean, it's like you set it up once and it just goes forever. But then there will be people who potentially say, well, the city's website's useless because it tells me a bunch of things I already know and there's no updates whatsoever on anything. On the other hand, you could update it with everything and be like, the next council meeting's this, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and update it multiple times a week. How much you have to pay to keep it up to date depends on just how fresh it is and pertinent.
I guess to add to that, like, I just use, you can go to other towns in Lincoln County and get on their website. They have, the city hall information, the mayor, the clerk, and they might have the councilman's positions, who they are, okay, all that, benign stuff there, but they have snow plans, they have ordinances and stuff like that. Is that something that we're going to plan on
So here's
going forward?
Here's the minimum of what we can do without paying anything more. Between Joe and myself, and maybe some involvement of Donna after she gets well settled and we see what her level of interest and capability of it is, we can set up a mostly static page.
Thank you for volunteering me.
You're welcome. I mean,
I would like to see a separation of council and
Yeah,
administrative.
that's
on this.
fine.
I mean,
But-
just to keep it clean.
But we can set up a largely static page. Now, one thing I talked about before is that there is a files.harrington.city, and I now have that synced up to a shared drive that both Jess and the clerk have access to. I haven't gone over that with Donna yet she's not probably aware of exactly where it is, but Jerry knew of it before his departure. And the nice thing is, whatever folders and files get put in there automatically go up to files.harrington.city. So the reason why I'm saying this is like ordinances, right? John Evans was here and talked about how he liked that, was it for Davenport, that he could go to their website and just call up all their ordinances. That's something that Donna can do, because all she needs to do is put a file in a folder and it will sync up to the website automatically. Now, it won't necessarily look really all that pretty, but it'll be very functional, that you can see the folder and you can see the files in it, and Joe has access to that as well. And that's something where if it's just file access, we can do that ourselves for free. There's no web skills involved in it. It's just organizing files, which is something that, frankly, whether we had a website or not, we need to do a better job of organizing our files in folders, period. That's something that if we paired that with just a static web page of this is who we are, this is where we are, this is when we meet, that would be like the minimum level of basically you do it once and it just runs. Past that, if you want something that's much more fresh in a calendar and a contact form and this, that, and the other thing, we're going to have to pay somebody to do that.
And typically, okay, I was just thinking, come to mind, the cemetery, you know, what are the fees, what are this, and what, you know.
Sure.
You can go to Wilbur's or Davenport's website and just kind of get an idea. I mean, I wouldn't go stupid crazy with it, but at least what do you get asked from the public, Mr. Mayor? What kind of questions typically?
You're gonna have a huge
folder here.
At least 10 times a week, they want to know what the number is for the Harrington House.
Okay.
That may sound stupid, guys, but the phone rings here all day long,
It just proves it's a boon to Harrington.
you know?
Well, that's
And as I
changed
told the owner today, I said, you know, I picked this up because I answered the phone once today, and I said, well, just a minute, I have a menu here. I'm sure his number's on it. Lo and behold, no number.
Yeah, 4740, isn't it?
Yeah, 4741. So, but we get all kinds of questions.
Well, yeah, as long as you're not taking orders, we're good.
No.
No.
Oh,
No, but,
I wasn't volunteering.
but people are gonna come in here for the cemetery, for just, I don't know, think of anything else really going on, but, you know, the chamber, I mean, that would be a chamber issue, and that's their job for their businesses, and I don't wanna step on the local businesses for, you know.
Can you repeat the question you said about the separation between the council and
I'd
the...
like to have administrative and legislative powers followed.
That's separate.
Yes, separate.
Great.
For clean.
I didn't get the, I didn't hear the whole thing.
I
That's
know,
what-
I didn't say the whole thing, so it's partly my fault. But I don't think, my opinion is that if we need to hire a web designer or somebody to manage this, because it sounds like this could get a little more intense and a little more problematic, so forth and so on going forward, that we need to maybe look into that possibility. And I
So
just was
who-
kind of picking Stephen's brain.
Yeah.
So
How
that-
much does he think that's going to all entail? How
What I
much?
would encourage the council to think of is it's in two parts.
Mhm.
File access we can do ourselves. And basically all that infrastructure is set up. All we need to do is start making the files and the right folder names, and it's ready to go. And it's you go to a website and you see a pretty design and you see updated content, text and pictures and all that kind of stuff. That's the stuff that's going to cost us. I can say that right now, I have not yet heard of a website developer in the area that I would recommend.
I know
And the
Joe's
ones that I know of I have not heard great things.
I know Joe's a heck of a photographer, and but I wouldn't necessarily recommend putting. I mean, if it's going to cost, I don't think. I mean, we
mean, you
would
could-
need that on there, even though it would be nice. But
I would say you start in towards a web developer contract and you're probably looking at least a couple hundred a month. And it goes up.
Really? First, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm not diminishing any of that time, what
Yeah.
it takes to do that.
No.
Who would be able to upload anything onto there? I mean, there's times that we have people who send out letters for the city that I'm not sure we want them sending out letters until it's been approved.
Letters.
Is that a fair way to?
letters
stated?
is in the
Well,
emails?
we've had people in the past who would say, you know, the water's getting shut off here and this and that and.
Oh,
Or
no,
there's something
we
else?
would have control over who posts what.
That's what I'm asking, yeah.
That's administrative, that's what goes, that is that man or that person's job right there.
Or at least to just peruse it and see what it says.
Because it's your butt that's on the line.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, that's a fact, you know.
That's what
And you
makes
shouldn't
this
have to
thing.
wait until all of us are together to
You
be
could
able.
ask
Yeah.
for all the help in the world, but the final say and stuff goes across that desk right there.
Okay,
But a good example, like we had that emergency and stuff, and then to address some of that, if you had the website,
absolutely.
maybe incorporate in emergencies or, I don't know.
And so that's-
Door to door, you'll still have to do it probably to some degree.
And that's the trick. So part of why when it comes to announcements, we've been attacking it through emails and Facebook, because the thing with the website is you can totally have something like that on a website, but you have only two routes. Either you train up inside the city infrastructure for people to be able to edit themselves, which for a number of these web products, there's a fairly high learning curve. So that's not impossible, but sometimes fraught. On the other hand, you try to get a hold of your web developer and say, I need an immediate change because our water pipe broke, and they don't respond back to you for 3 days. So a website is kind of a difficult prospect for very current information.
How much time do we have to get this going?
We don't have any.
We don't have a
Requirement.
time
constraint on it.
We're losing our Facebook page, is that?
No.
Facebook is live. If I can address this, like you said, the city's been using the Chamber's website as a portal to put information on. The Chamber has, over the past couple months, been removing some of the city-related things off of that harringtonbiz.com.
Which they should, honestly.
Yeah, because they're not the city. So they've slowly been kind of removing that content. Well, now they're coming out with a completely reformatted, readdressed page, and I'll confess, I've seen it. I've got access to it. It's not posted yet, but I've got access to it online, and it is 100% commerce related. I think besides having a telephone number for this, I can't even remember if the city hall is even mentioned on their page. I didn't see it, but you know, they can go to that page and find out what's going on at the Harrington House because it's linked. They've got a brand new website over there also.
So I should tell everybody to go to the Chamber website from now on.
As of probably next week, yeah.
Well, that's generally where you went anyways, if you go into a new town or city or whatever.
Chamber of
You
Commerce.
check in the Chamber of Commerce, it would give you, like what Joe was saying, and it would give you a city hall number, you know, at the very least, and that's about as far as it goes.
Yeah.
And like I said, I would like to see the city have its own.
So I was going to propose this. Maybe we can have a committee of the council and anybody else that wants to be involved in having that conversation of what does the content, what does that page look like? I agree with Stephen. I think it should be as simple and basic as possible. So it doesn't have to have fingers on it every single day.
I agree. It has to be informational and short to the point.
Right, and if I remember correctly, when we pass an ordinance, the clerk is then able to upload it into basically the backbone of this website, and if it's set up correctly, then
And
the
that
citizens
that can happen right now.
Yeah, because I've got the file hierarchy in front of me, but they can, they should be able to search. If I want to search for fences, every time a fence came up in an ordinance, it's searchable and they can find out, you know.
Sure.
There should be a map of the city of
That would
Harrington
be
on it.
novel if I could type in fence and it tells me everything to do with a fence post.
Well, if it
Well,
was,
we'll be there.
if, you know, and.
No. So what it is that what you'll be able to do, and all of this is done. It's just a matter of us starting to use it. Is there's that shared drive,
Yes.
and on that shared drive, there's a folder that syncs up to the website. If we start putting in ordinances in like the Word doc format or even PDFs in there, probably PDFs would be better.
Yep.
You can go into that search bar in Windows Explorer in the upper right and put in a search term, and it will search through all the PDFs in that folder for content. And all those PDFs will be on the website, and John Evans can have the link. He can go to files.harrington.city or ordinances. I think I put in a short link, ordinances.harrington.city, and it goes directly to the folder in question, and he'll see all the PDFs there. So we're already
You
there.
ask
I was
questions.
gonna say they're all under C for chicken, right?
Chicken.
They
Yep.
can
I've had
search
2
for it.
questions.
The difference is
Same
that got set up only like 3-4 months ago, and then we got busy with budget stuff, and then Jerry departed, and so we haven't started using it. But the automation of that sync is all done. It's all working.
And it's not affected by what chamber or anybody else were.
Correct.
We're good,
Yeah,
okay.
that's already happening at files.harrington.city. There's nothing there, but hopefully there soon will be as we start dropping files in there.
I guess I should reiterate, so that was my whole point, is that I don't feel the city to be beholden to anybody or vice versa on this. I think we should be free
Yep.
to put our content or whatever, and so no hard feelings about anything
Yeah.
business-wise.
We got a free ride for a long time.
Yeah.
Thank you to the chamber. So, I don't know. Does that mean that we want to start? I guess, let's put it this way. We can put a bookmark in this and come back to it maybe at the next meeting, but I would encourage the council to have an idea of what kind of stuff do you want on the website. And most particularly, how often do you want to see the website updated? Because, as I said about that gradient, if it rarely changes and it's a minimal amount of static information, we can do that without bringing in a web developer. If you want something that is always very current and pertinent and fresh, be willing to pay for it and be willing to have bad experiences finding out how to pay for it.
What would
So-
you say this fresh, considered websites, once a week, once a day? I know once a day would be fresh.
Once or multiple times a week would be pretty fresh.
Really? And then,
Once a council meeting,
is there gonna be places in there where people can actually communicate with us, where they hit a drop down and they
Oh,
wanna
you
talk to
can-
the
you
mayor?
comments?
You can build it.
You can build it.
I
It
mean,
just
do we want
costs
that?
this.
But
Well, and that's what I'm saying is that I would love to give you guys some kind of estimates and stuff, but I can't do that. It's kind of like saying, well, how much does a car cost?
yeah,
Well,
this
what
week
kind of-
I've been asked about licenses
yeah.
by 2 different people. Where can I get a small business license? And I said, I don't know, I'm gonna have to research that. Somebody wanted to build a fence. How close can the fence be to the sidewalk? Well,
I think we have, it's in there, in one of our ordinances.
Oh yeah,
And
that's all in
height and,
the zoning
And
ordinance.
we can do a
Background.
lot with
I
just
I spent well over an hour today to come up with one of the things I'm gonna bring up to you right now.
and we can do a lot with just file access. Just with people being able to get at PDFs that we put on a website, we can do a lot with helping them being able to access things from us.
Good.
And that's all stuff that Donna can create in Word and export to PDF and save in a particular folder. And that's it. That's the whole deal. So
That sounds wonderful. And to access that, all you have to go is search and search for a specific word,
well,
for instance, or...
search will look different for you than it does on the website for now.
Okay,
You will have more search capability than the website currently does. But we can build
Yeah,
that.
but first we've got to take these ordinances that have been passed through the millennium,
Yes.
get them scanned in,
Yes.
turned into readable text, and get them uploaded
Yeah.
onto the site.
And that's part of why we don't want to probably get too ahead of ourselves and looking for a particular webmaster and stuff, because we'll soon reach the point where they'll say, well, give me your content. You want the ordinances on the website, send me the files. And we're going to go, we don't have them scanned. And and web developer, the webmaster is going to be like, well, I'm not going to be scanning your hard copies for you. I'm a webmaster, not a document archiver. And we're going to say, okay, well, I guess we'll get back to you whenever we get those scans. So it's like, there's a number of things that whether we do it ourselves or we pay someone else to do it, we're going to have to get our digital life right before we can figure out how to make it available to the public.
So what do we need to do
Just-
right now?
I'd say between here and the next meeting, I would ask the council to do some thinking about what kind of a website they want and how frequently they want it updated. If we can get that information, we can determine next steps.
I'd say a minimum of, well, we'll serve 2 meetings, but after the, if we were just one, ideally, it would be after every council meeting.
So every 2
Whether we
weeks.
want to put minutes on it or not, or I don't know where we want to go with that. But, I mean, they're public, but they have to come in and look at them now, but if we wanted to,
Yeah.
This is the Harrington website. That's what we're gonna refer to this as?
Harrington.city.
Yeah, the city's website, yeah. And we can start posting minutes tomorrow. That's, all we have to do is save the PDFs in the right folder and it'll be on files.harrington.city.
First you have to generate them.
Well,
yes,
yeah,
but just curiosity, I know the clerk is rather new, but I mean, are you aware, Jess, excuse me, how often people come in for minutes? Is it a big thing or not? I mean, is it hit and miss?
It's a big thing to do them, to
Yes.
produce them, to go through the whole, listen to this 2 hours worth,
Right.
and
But-
try to pick up the high points and not lose. It becomes a determination by the person doing it, what's important and what's not.
How often do people come in and ask for them?
Very seldom.
Okay.
It's more of you who want to know when was something done, and you want to go to those minutes to find that information out. And maybe you won't have to go to the minutes if we have the proper information stored other places.
Well, okay, so tonight we approved January 11th. Okay, so that's approved, it's gonna be signed off.
Yep.
At that point, it gets scanned?
no.
No?
Well,
It could.
Do we want
what
the
I would
signature
do,
on it?
what,
We're getting into content, but I mean, my point being is once they're approved, we can publish them. Which means the clerk just uploads them into this.
no, it's simpler than that. All she has to do is save into the correct folder and it will be there. That's it.
It's done.
Because we've already requested PDFs because we've had issues with the iPads when you send a Word document and the wrapping or the formatting is weird.
Yes.
So we already want to be on PDFs anyways. So all we need to do is save the PDF that we're already generating in the correct folder and it's on the website. There's no going to a page and uploading and learning a mechanism and training. It's just save it in the right folder. That's done.
And the signed copy, does that get scanned too, so we don't
Well,
have to save paper?
And to Joe's point, what we want on the website, if you want the signatures, we're going to have to scan the hard copy back in. If you're just concerned with the content that we approved, we can just directly save it from the Word document when it was written, and that PDF will not have signatures on it, but it will, either way, that copier can scan directly to PDF, and I can set it so that it will scan directly into the upload folder. So,
Sure,
I mean-
you just go to the right address.
yeah, you
Yeah.
would select the particular destination, and it would just scan directly onto there.
Would
So-
any of this assist us in future audits?
So,
Do we
Well,
see
I
a
don't know if
benefit
that
at all?
depends. if they need that
Because
signature.
for one thing, the auditor, when we were getting audited, they keep requesting information of us, right? And so that means we have to, when they request information, our clerk has to go find it and then send it back to them. If we have all of my goal is, what I would like to see is that all of our digital files that are subject to a Freedom of Information Act request are on the website by default. And that way, if anyone wants them, the auditor, the citizen, our clerk is never, ever responding to Freedom of Information Act requests because it's all there. They say, well, I want your minutes, go to the website. I want your budget stuff, go to the website, right? And so that way the auditor, they can go pick whatever they want. And in theory, if we've done it right, we've never spent a single minute responding to their requests.
that would be huge.
And
time
never see the
savings.
whites of their eye.
At the present moment, the clerk has to go start grabbing boxes
Oh, yeah.
and go through boxes and answer the phone and the door and do whatever else.
Rather laborious. I mean,
Yes,
It's not good.
It's gonna be time consuming getting what's already out there
of course.
digitized.
And
Of
it's an
course.
extension of what we already saw with YouTube. Before, we would get requests for the recording. And it was Janice at the time, had to plug the recorder into the computer and copy the file onto someone else's flash drive and figure out which one it was, because the recorder didn't have a date, it didn't have date stamps on it, so you had to play each one. Now with YouTube stuff, if people want to know what happened in the meeting, they go to YouTube and they just play it at 3 a.m. in the morning if they want to, right? So it's those kind of requests, our clerk is not spending a minute responding to anymore. And they used to spend minutes almost after every meeting responding to those kind of things. So the more we allow people to self-serve, the more time we claw back for our clerk. Anyway,
Okay, what did we decide? How do we move forward here?
We're gonna bring this up at the next meeting.
Okay, good
This is
enough
not,
for me.
we may be kicking the can, but we're kicking the can with duties attached to it.
With thought about this.
Yes, we're moving forward
I
with
agree.
it. Just
I agree.
can't
Sounds
accomplish it all tonight.
good. And then,
The second agenda was tattoos.
so this is just a reminder of an email that Jerry forwarded to us on December 27th of last year. And I'll read this. It says, "Hello, City Hall. I'm Joey Kostick, and I hope to bring small tattoo business into town to help with commerce. I've looked into a few buildings, and I may consider having a mobile unit which I can gain licensing for until I can afford a location in Harrington. If I go this route, what kind of permit and its costs would I need to tattoo here in Harrington Law? And are there any zoning regulations I need to keep in mind? I do live here and I own a property too, but I need a facility of sorts to do it properly. I did notice a taco food truck in Reardon as well, which inspired me to maybe go this route. Any help would be greatly appreciated."
well, I think you may have found where you found that other information that you're talking about in the ordinances and stuff. I think it does address, I know one of them did. I did three.
About his tattoo parlor?
About vendors and businesses and so forth and so on. Mobile. I know I've seen it in the past, but I couldn't, off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you what the ordinance was. It was in some of the zoning and usage. 319 maybe, or 380, not 389, but 319 I think.
Yeah, if you guys don't mind, I'm gonna because that would probably be prior to 2010, right?
Yes,
It is.
because
So it's gonna be in that white book.
he's asking for, is there any license requirements for his mobile?
Yeah, he just says, if I go this route, what kind of permit
Almost
would I
always
need?
locked.
And are there
I
any
was in there
zoning
tonight,
regulations
so
to
that
keep
was
them
me.
from permit zoning?
Does anybody know where he lives?
Yes.
Yes.
He lives Conrad's house.
You know where my house is? Yeah,
The old
he's
Catholic
behind me
church,
on the corner,
right next
behind
to
the
it.
old church.
Old
Andy Lane's
church.
house.
Yeah.
Behind the Catholic church.
He reached his old house. Okay. Well,
Business licenses and regulations.
and I think there was something to operating a business in your home, there was something about addressed in that. Which I don't know how well that's been.
You have to get a
honestly been-
variance, you have to get a variance to operate a business out of your house.
Yeah, that, I don't know how well it's been enforced over the years.
I'm gonna back my laptop.
I mean,
Well, there's a whole section here about peddlers and charitable solicitors in the business licenses and regulations.
What section is that, Joe?
Section 5.
Okay.
is that just our the zoning and,
So this book
here, go ahead.
in 2010, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I was told, in 2010, the city paid to have
Yes.
all of our ordinances codified, and they're right here. So for example, this paragraph,
But they didn't get them all done.
then,
No.
then they refer to which ordinance it was and when it was passed.
I've spent more time in this than I care to think about.
Yeah,
But, I mean, it's,
it never was completed.
It's not very user-friendly, actually. Maybe it is, but it's a lot of reading.
well, it sent me in the direction that I was looking for, so I was happy for that.
But this was an actual, I'm thinking, was it,
And there's no digitized copy of that?
Well, it's
Probably
just a
not.
matter, probably in 2010, I doubt we had a scanner or anything like it here.
Well, but
The
it was-
company that did this in
It's over in
Seattle
Seattle.
It's in
probably
Seattle, yeah.
has it in one of their archives.
Yeah.
And supposedly we have some kind of an arrangement with them.
I know we had, but hopefully we still do.
Is there contact information in that?
I believe it is on the front page,
Oh, I
yes.
bet it is.
Let me snap that, and I'm gonna contact them and see.
Now, it did fall under businesses and such, but was a considerable
careful.
amount of information under the zoning ordinance as well.
Easy to find
That's
here.
where the bulk of it is.
Yeah.
I say partially codified indexed and
And
published.
see, I know Wilbur's and weird, this stuff right here is on the web.
Yeah, and that's the kind of stuff that once we have the file, we
I'll be
can
right back.
put in there. What's nice about it is it does summarize, so these
Right.
two-page
Well, you get
ordinances
some,
we do.
you get somebody in there, somebody wants to start a business, but you gotta give them something, an answer. I said, I don't. I just don't know how much when we relinquish some control over to the county, how much they have to say about it.
They only went as far as peddlers and solicitors. They never actually,
Addressed in the whole
it doesn't
business.
actually go into businesses here.
I think in the ordinance, it does.
Oh, it does in the ordinances. I'm just wondering why they never.
I think somebody literally read the ordinance and summarized it. I mean,
Okay.
there's a human interface here where they
Right.
read it.
Somewhere in here, there's a letter stating from them guys that we're not, please send us those ordinances and stuff.
I'll get your
That one?
copies. Yeah,
I don't need that. That's all been taken care of.
yeah. Treasure name.
But it's been over a year now, going through with nuisance and whatever I did. I remember seeing it in there, but I didn't know how, first of all, how current it is. If we had anything to contradict it.
Well,
Right there.
we're 13 years after this was done, to the extent that it was done, years.
Yeah, you're just a babe.
Wow.
You can text her, give her a call, she's sitting there.
Next year will be 14.
We were talking about that about movies at school the other day, and the kids were telling me how old the movies were, and I said no, they weren't. And then I went and actually looked at the copyright. Dad told me to get used to it.
No, I didn't, probably.
Commercial, there we are, commercial zoning.
Yeah, because working out of your home, there's a huge
And I called him.
permitted uses. Here we are. R1 residential includes non-commercial gardening.
He'd be in residential.
So they said, you
Right.
have to say, yes, he's okay.
Front yard setbacks, side yard setbacks,
Did grant you
rear yard
access
setbacks,
again?
prohibited
Yes.
Because I'm the
uses.
administrator.
Commercial
Yes.
uses except home
'Cause I called and I
occupations, and it
talked
actually
to
goes into what those occupations are.
Probably things like
Who did I
piano
talk to?
lessons.
Jordan
It doesn't involve
Robinson.
tattoo parlors.
Probably.
But was he asking for his own property? It sounded like he maybe wanted to set up a van out on the street.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to set up a tattoo shop in his home. He wants to set
Anyway,
up
she said,
a,
well, I'll just.
here's my thought on the deal, because I
All you gotta do
did
is get her
email
there.
him, and he's my
And I
neighbor.
didn't, she was talking so fast I wasn't writing down. In
The
other words,
steps
I
and
have a
requirements
long
that the Department of Health makes any
so you gotta
tattoo
go in,
party
you're
go
the only one
through
else
are
can say yes, let him in.
I don't think we're
Then I'm
then
gonna
we
have
could-
to.
They don't want you
She
getting
says, "You're gonna
hepatitis from a
have to put her in
tattoo
your
needle."
phone."
So I don't think a mobile one would fly,
Each
will
every
it?
30 days.
I
Yeah,
think if
mine
it was
makes me
built
change it every 30
correctly,
days.
probably lots of stainless steel and proper generators
Ridiculous
and
stuff still.
So that's the only
tattooing
one I need.
food trucks. I mean, the sanitation
And
requirements are
then
not
there's gonna
terribly
be a
different
bunch
between
of
the two of
things.
them.
Donna's gotta get
You
signed
could
up
check
to.
with, does he have that one up in Davenport too?
I have no
Since I have
idea.
administrative access in there,
You
I
do
can
a
sign her
combo.
up and send her the
Tattoos and
emails to
tacos.
register.
Two for Tuesday.
For deposits
Taco
and
Tuesday.
for signing checks, that'll happen in one fell swoop, and that is through
We gotta,
Cat taco.
the minutes, yeah.
we're gonna do this
There's no
tonight.
place in town
So,
for the old front
what did I miss? Did we,
No, we were just going through the codified book to see if there was addressed
The one
it.
before
okay,
that.
so
Yeah, you can get a conditional use permit to work out of there, but
And
other
these
than that,
perhaps
it's-
then the
These are-
easiest thing
these
for
are
tonight
resolutions. We're gonna talk about
is
this
I'll
in
see
a
if I can
minute.
get a digital copy
So
of
I found
that.
them all.
The ability to
And I
just
don't know if
run
we're
an
gonna get
automated
rid of
search
them
on a
or
term
just,
for everything that's in that book would be a
Right from the
tremendous
Fantastic Crowd over these two
help in
issues.
making
There's
sure
one
that we don't
document
fall
being
foul of
sent to what
anything.
we call
So
CCS
should we just
over in Seattle.
table
And they
it to
just take
now,
care of it. They
for now
send you
until
the
we have a
signature
more
card,
efficient way
she
of
signs
searching
it,
that
you're good
book?
to go.
'Cause
When's
And
he,
if I
when's he
remember right,
looking
we
for an
got something
answer?
that the council says
Well,
in the minutes here.
I am not aware of
So
there
we're gonna
having
do
been
that
any
right
follow-up
now.
since that was done in
Yeah.
late December, so
So I'm handing these back to you.
I'm not
I don't
sure
know where
what.
Donna was able to find them,
his
and I don't want to put them in the wrong
I
spot.
know he had a
I
GoFundMe
guess
for
Cynthia had
it.
them in here.
Really?
I know
This is the
that a
claims.
Bills,
proper
yeah.
built taco truck, any kind of
Yeah,
food
they
truck
did,
like
that's why I
that,
couldn't find it.
done correctly,
I
is
looked at
gonna,
tonight.
used is gonna put you back 20 grand.
Seems like it.
So for this to take it to the next
Sorry for
level,
the total confusion.
it's not a cheap proposition.
If it's mobile, I can't imagine we would have an ordinance that would address
You'll
that.
need what tomorrow? Those?
Well, peddlers and vendors.
Yes.
Word on the street is they're talking to Herons about one of their buildings as well.
Okay.
Maybe where Penny had her hair
Yep,
salon.
that's where it is. They were up there working on the roof the other day and talking
Well,
about it.
hopefully
Okay,
that-
We have people who have that mobile pet salon thing that comes through.
Mhm.
We don't do anything about that. I don't know that, I mean, it's the equivalent of just parking the vehicle unless he's just planning on having that be a stationary park thing in front of his place. Is that the intent?
Why couldn't you have a trailer parked at his house with all the
My,
stuff?
I was left with the impression he would not want to have it at his home. He would want to have it parked,
Down on Main, where all the traffic
On-
is.
yeah, in a stationary spot where he
Set
can
up
get
at-
proper,
Set up at 10 and then take it down at 5 or whatever.
yeah,
Oh,
you know, proper electrical access and stay in the commercial zoned area.
So, in other words, it would be stationary. It would be just a substitute for a building.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I think his comment, either to me or in here, oh, I know, he approached this from a couple of different directions, so I heard about this also from the chamber. And it was just the cost of trying to get a building, or get a building and then spend the monies to have it refurbished and rehabilitated to be used was just cost prohibitive. So that's why the truck came up with an idea.
But you, okay, there you go. Excuse me, so does it look pretty promising down there of herons?
I didn't see it. I don't know who saw that.
That's just
being
word
worked
on the street.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
well, that would be, that would solve a lot of problems.
Okay. I don't think we have any action
No.
we need to take here on that tonight.
No, because we, just-
That's another thing we want to bring up again? Do we need more? No?
I would say that we have discussed it. I'm going to get a digital copy of that book so that we can more efficiently answer questions.
Okay.
But,
This thing
To
is
a certain
locked all the time, Stephen.
yeah,
Both the temporary clerk and the clerk have key to it,
well,
and I have
if I
key
can
to
get a
it.
copy of that book from them, we could also use that in populating some of our website files. But point is, my takeaway from this is I'm going to make it so we can search our ordinances more efficiently. But he's the one who's asking of the city council, not the other way around. So if he wants to continue to pursue this issue, I think he might want to pay us a visit. So,
I think so.
Fair enough.
Since there's no public here, I'm not gonna ask for public comments, I'm gonna go to the mayor's.
Hey, you gotta,
she's not public.
Not public.
Do you really have a question there? No. Okay.
Did you have something, Steve? No. Okay. So the first thing I'd like to do is bring up the fact that we have several things we've got to get changed here for our clerk. And one of them is that we had 2 resolutions at the present time that say that you have to be on this list to make deposits in our bank. So you have to be on this list if you're going to take the money to town. And the first one is 2026, 2021, which is for Nathan Luck, Mike Conrath, and Jerry Lee, and Cynthia. So I don't know, do you want to amend one of these, or do you want
You have to
to throw
update it.
the old ones out? There's a newer one than this too.
Well, we can't do it tonight.
You're absolutely correct about that.
I don't know if it needs council to do that. I think that's
Well, these are a
administrative.
resolution.
That is a resolution.
Yeah, we're
Yes, this is
gonna
a
have to.
resolution.
When it comes to the bank stuff, they won't make the changes.
I mean, here's the
without
2
seeing it.
resolutions, and we've never gotten rid of the first one when we even had the second one,
Just keep adding on.
which is Jerry Lee, myself,
She's an
Cynthia.
employee, just give them one.
So,
So we never added Sage?
no. Well, I don't know, look at the next one. There's 2 of them there. Is that the newest one?
Oh, sorry.
Well, definitely I'd say at this point in time that we definitely need to either we need to scrap it and put a new list.
Scrap the 2 of the old, both the old ones?
Everything is wiped clean with a new clerk and treasurer and relatively, you're mayor, but I mean, I'd say
So we need a resolution. to
So those 2
basically
resolutions
delete and
there's
Yeah.
2 of them.
undo.
yeah, new-
Those 2 need to go away, they don't
Right.
get amended?
Right.
Because we put 2 of them, one on top of the other one?
yeah, just,
And legally, I can't tell you which one of those is binding them.
that's what I mean. It's too ambiguous.
We just need to title it to say that the new resolution supersedes 226/2021 and 231/2021.
So those 2 stay in the book.
Sage, they stay in the book, but they're marked as
Invalid.
superseded.
So at the present moment, we're okay.
Okay,
The person, Cynthia still takes the money in,
okay.
probably will this week. I'm on the list. We
Right.
just need to get Donna on there. And also with the ability, Sage and I just talked to sign the checks.
Sage, do you have any conflict of interest things with US Bank? Can you be on that list?
I can be on that list. It's a matter of I cannot touch any of the city's accounts, credit, debit, none of the city things, or if the city has written a check to a vendor or merchant or anything, I can't have anything to do with that specific transaction.
Can you deposit funds?
In my position, I don't think I'm allowed to transport the accounts receivable. I don't think I'm allowed to touch the cash until it's in.
Okay, so then she doesn't need to be on that list?
Sage doesn't.
I do as a
Donna does.
person that signs checks.
Checks. Okay.
Yeah.
Donna does. Right
Thought
now,
membership
it's
has
myself,
privileges.
Mike Conrath,
Okay,
Jerry
Candace, you
Lee,
got the
and
answers.
Cynthia. So there's
Right.
2 of
True.
us that we need her put on
And
the
that would be
list.
changing
And the
to
rest of these people
you,
taken off.
Donna, and Sage.
Could we say that again now for the record? Stephen, he was saying
And
something.
that would change to Jess, Donna, and Sage.
And Cynthia as a,
And probably Cynthia as a backup is probably not.
Is that gonna stay back up? I guess it doesn't really matter.
Is she gonna stay as a backup?
Yeah,
She asked me that the other day, and I said, I don't know. I'm sure if Donna's sick, you still need a backup.
Well, you haven't completed her performance review yet,
That's true.
so there's still
Well,
time.
actually, I have, and I can give her pretty.
Cynthia, if you're listening,
I'm gonna give her pretty good.
spell my name wrong one more time. One more time.
yeah, I'd
Okay.
probably leave
She's
it,
been under corrective action now for calling the mayor honey for quite some time.
well, just keep digging.
Yeah.
No, you're good.
Performance improvement plan.
No, I think that's perfect. So there's you, Cynthia, Sage, and Donna.
And Donna,
Yeah.
all 4 have that, need to be on this list so that can legally do it.
Yeah.
That way, if anybody's sick, there's always one of us that can do
But
it.
for her, it's not for
I
taking money
guess
over there.
you just said you
Sign
can't do it, is that
Sig-
correct? You can't
signatory.
handle that money?
I can't
I
handle
can.
the cash coming in. I
You've
believe
done
that's
enough
part of the city's
resolutions. I should
rules,
do
and then
one.
it's also part of the bank's rules.
Unless you
that
were fishing, in which case.
If I
okay,
was
refer
off
to
the
your-
clock.
Just signatory for her.
Yeah. So getting the money from here to there is
You 3.
myself,
I'll do this one.
our Cynthia,
Our Cynthia.
Our backup clerk.
our backup clerk, and our clerk.
Mhm.
And
You would
we-
need to be
and
on
we
the
just
list
say
because
we're
you'd be
gonna do
working
away,
at any
we're
time the
gonna-
money would be
those all
transported from here up to
supersede
there anyway.
Okay,
She
Well,
can-
well, we
I
need
come in on
to,
my vacation days and things, but yes.
that'll go on next,
And I think
next
it's just
meeting.
as part of a best practice for the treasurer's position as well, not to be handling the cash until it's received in with the accounts.
Mhm.
could somebody pin that? Put this to pin, what we wanna do? You'll do that for the next meeting, so it'll be resolution 241, 2022, 2023.
That's
That
on
would
the
be res
record.
241, 2023.
Yeah.
I was just looking if Donna had that.
From the bank standpoint, my position on the resolution is no different than the rest of them, but with my position at the bank, it's different.
Right, right.
Okay. So, next thing on the mayor notes. Our engineering firm director was in today for their final meeting until probably April or sometime for the emergency water project. And they are terminating it as of this afternoon. They're not terminating forever, they're terminating until the weather gets nice and they're going to open it up again. So it's, that word kind of scared me and I got them to confirm that that doesn't mean it's over. It means it's over for right now. It's
Shouldn't
the
they have
word-
used postpone? Because terminating means
Final.
stopping forever.
Not to them.
But can we use the word postpone?
Well, yes.
It's a postponement.
He
then,
was
is
supposed
what-
to send me an email tonight.
Why do
with-
they need to open it back up?
Because in April, possibly end of, 1st of April, end of April, they're going to open the claim back up for about 3 days, in which time they're gonna take out all of the above-ground pipe.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
re-
okay, okay.
And restore the rest of the
So we're
surfaces.
talking
They're not going back under the railroad
We're
tracks.
talking about opening back up, not in
Yeah.
terms of ground, but in
Yeah.
terms of contract and
Yes.
expenditure. Okay,
The-
yes.
The contract that was bid on and won and all the rest of that said that they had X number of work days
Mhm.
And
to
they
accomplish everything, and those are supposed to be consecutive work days.
Oh,
Now I know.
no,
what
actually, they
you're
can
saying.
stop at any time.
Well, that's what they're doing, is they're
Yes.
terminating it, but in lieu of that
Yes.
technicality, they're supposed to,
They still have 12 days left.
okay,
And they're only gonna use probably 3 of them. But that's going to be, I can't give you the exact date right now, as soon as they, at the end of March, the contracting company is coming back, so they have a job through March. And he said if the ground is good, we'll do it right then. So the first week, or it could be the end of April. So they're gonna come back. They have finished all of it now and they've done a pretty good rough grade, a clean grade, but it's going to get more as soon as they're able to get up there. The slab's out, Sackett's water main is in, their 2 frost frees have been hooked back up. Everything's done at this point, other than making it pretty.
So weather permitting, basically.
So it's as soon as the ground gets hard, yeah, the weather permitting, they're gonna come back, take the pipe out of the ground, get that all cleaned up.
So we have like a month and a half to figure out what to do with the pipe.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard stories about you wanna store it inside, that's great. I don't know where it's big enough if we're talking 50 foot.
And it's 6 inch?
It is 6-inch diameter.
I thought it was bigger than that, but
No.
6 inches.
When you see the pipe that's in the ground now, and I have all of the pictures of it, if
Yeah.
anybody wishes to download, there's about 50 or 60 pictures that Randy took with a description on them where they're all at. It's pretty amazing looking now. They put in, that 12-inch pipe is huge. Absolutely huge compared to this little piece. And please tell everybody, don't steal the piece of pipe that you see laying right out here next to the building. That's a piece of very poor looking pipe. But Steve Marsh would like to have good documentation of it, and I'm going to cut off a section so that we can use it to show people when we want to ask for money to help.
How's
This is what our pipe
dilapidated?
looks
What our
like.
piece of pipe, and I can't say anything other than it's pretty scary looking. And according to Scott, who has been in the ground more than any of us around here, there are several places in the city, not the whole city, but several places where the pipe looks like that.
The other stuff is wood.
Yeah, yeah, but some of it has survived very well,
Yes,
but it's
yeah.
just because of the ground in different places in town here, some of it's set on basalt, so nothing does well doing this on basalt all its whole life.
Yeah.
So we've got some opportunities for success in our future here to get this pipe fixed.
Mr. Mayor, can I
Yes.
add to that real quick?
Sure.
This is a holdover question you guys had from 2 weeks ago. When can we remove the state of the emergency?
Yeah, I saw your
Now,
email.
I brought that up to him.
Okay.
And our contractor, Stephen Marsh, highly recommends that we leave that in place until we're totally done.
Amen.
Okay.
And his reason for that is this is your only way, if anything happens, by having the state of emergency, you're in the queue. If you go outside that queue, it could take you 9 months to get back into it again where they talk about it.
Yeah.
So he said, you're there and it's fine. And he said, this is what we always do. And I told him in my conversation with the Public Works Board and Mark Renfro. And Mark Renfro said you could turn it off right now and it's no problem. You can still access all your funds. Steve said, oh boy, do not do that.
Smart man.
Because you will get out of line. You're in line now and it's not hurting anybody.
No.
But if you get out of line, you could wait 6, 8 months or a year to get back in line again if anything happens.
And that's a
So
if.
that's his recommendation is to leave that in place until maybe May or June. It's not hurting anything. It's not a priority for us to close that out immediately. So I had to take his input on that. You know,
That's
we
what I
can-
said at the last meeting too, was my recommendation, do just exactly that.
So it's not a long time, we're not waiting for 6 months, but his recommendation was to wait till the job is done, which is maybe 2 months off. Yes,
2 weeks ago, I was here and you were talking about what to do with that pipe, whether it should go indoor, outdoor, where it should be put. Is the whatever it's made out of, is that
Photosensitive.
okay? Is it in pretty bad shape?
no, it's brand new. Well, 3 or 4 months old.
Well,
Gently used.
gently used. You know, our park is kind of falling apart as far as equipment and so on and so forth. I was wondering maybe if the Lions Club would like to get together and make some equipment for the park.
Oh, this is plastic pipe.
Oh, I know, like so, you know,
Yeah,
just,
But what do you want, I guess I'm not sure what it is you're suggesting.
well, there are a lot of parks that, when they take stuff up, they go ahead and they make little thingies out for the kids to play on. And there's not very much in that park.
I don't know what kind of a thingy you would make out of this, but
Well, I could
sure,
find you some thingies.
There's lots of it. There's going to be some short pieces, I'm guessing for sure, that we'll have.
If the Lions Club wanted to approach us with such a request, I would be open to it.
Fear we would probably entertain
PVC
that.
is pretty brittle.
Well, but
Yeah,
I've seen it
it
in other parks.
This stuff can shatter, and if you hit it with a hammer, it can shatter.
Besides that, they got.
It's also acceptable or when you expose it to UV rays, it changes it becomes more brittle. If you hit it and break it, it'll make nasty long shards.
And there's actually, where there was a piece that was shattered like that up there that I saw the other day. I don't know if that's been
Possible.
removed,
And it wasn't
but-
in the sun?
No.
No, well, we've covered it
was
with
just
dirt,
recently
but,
been excavated.
you know, it has a purpose. I don't have any problem with it.
Let me
We
see
don't
what I
have
do.
a specific purpose, and I don't think we would put it in for water or sewer lines.
So you wouldn't reuse it for that?
No, it was bought, and if you were to take a look at the pipe we put in the ground now, the 12 and the 8-inch pipe, it's about close to 3/4 of an inch. And that stuff is pretty thin pipe, what we bought. It was
Stopgap.
good enough to do what we did with it, and thank you, Lord, that it made it.
Okay.
Through all of the time that it's been out there in the ground.
Here,
The
here.
heat and the cold.
The heat and the cold, boy, I'll tell you, I had several sleepless nights about that.
I bet.
So, this is a question I don't have, maybe you know, for these farmers that have crop circles, is 6-inch about the size that is feeding those crop circles? Or
It depends on their wells and horsepower pump and all that.
Could
They
it
do,
be-
but most of them, I don't think they would use PVC.
They mostly use steel or
Aluminum.
aluminum or galvanized.
If they got it for a
Most of
good
it's,
price, would they
well,
use it David, for irrigation?
Supposedly,
It would be suitable for
people were
irrigation.
saying
No.
that there was some orchards and stuff that can use that pipe for irrigation though.
Yeah.
That is true. Some of the ones up at Green Bluff, I don't
'Cause
know
I
if
know
any
when
they
we
use
were
that
trying to
diameter,
get
but I
that
do know they
pipe,
use PVC.
We were being directed towards seeing if people in Othello had it.
We got it from Wenatchee.
Okay,
We
so
cleaned Wenatchee out, so.
that's,
Yeah, so.
orchards is probably our best bet for resale, it sounds like.
The biggest thing about PVC, sorry, I mean,
If
is
we can get 50 cents on the dollar, yahoo.
for like irrigation, I mean, when it's exposed like that, your sunlight, your UV rays. are
Yes.
breaking that
And it
down.
breaks, yeah,
And it's
PVC.
only
breaks
good,
down.
I don't know, so it depends on the schedule, how thick it is, but it can go to heck in a year or 10 years. or-
Yeah,
Schedule
6
40.
inch.
it's scheduled
Oh,
for.
Schedule 40, isn't it? It was Schedule 40 or 80, but it wasn't.
It was nothing like what we have now.
No,
Alright.
it was
You have a big
designed
smile when
for
you say that.
temporary.
Oh my goodness. It's amazing the stuff we put in, this
Is-
12-inch
Are there
we
any
put in.
pieces left over?
Yeah,
Yeah, there's some over
Okay,
there.
'cause I haven't
But it
been up there
has,
since they
it's
started.
not,
I was above the tracks this morning and there's actually more diameters there than I'm actually, than I know what it, but there's a 12-inch diameter,
look
there's a
at it. I never
6-inch
saw
blue
it.
diameter, I think.
I just
Could
didn't
be,
go over there. when we were
But yeah, there's small
Maybe use it on
chunks of
wheels.
all.
this is, what we put in is not glue joints. This is compression fittings, and they go in about, I'm gonna say, close to a foot, with a huge rubber seal that they pound in, and then these things get shoved together, and they're almost a foot of engagement. This is not a little 2-inch glue joint. This is substantial. In other words, if this stuff wiggled up and down, it's in there a foot at each one of those
It's
joints.
designed to flex a little,
Oh, absolutely. This
give laterally, right?
This is real stuff. This is no greasy kid stuff. How's that for an old man
Okay.
comment?
Yeah.
Rate increases. So the boys are done with everything they're gonna do right now. They're gonna pull the signs tomorrow. They'll come back and I didn't get over there this afternoon again to look at all of everything they did, but they said they did a good job, and I'm quite sure when he comes back, our first thing is gonna have a pre-con meeting, and we'll go over all of the areas that we wanna get cleaned up. And we'll get all of the pipe out of there, the fence posts go back to Don Timms. We'll get, the rest of the place cleaned up, the blankets and the Jersey barriers or ecology blocks,
Yeah,
whatever you wanna
ecology
call them,
blocks.
go back to, DW. Next thing on my list is, did you all get a chance to look at our new bid for the
I just
cemetery?
I just saw that, but I was unable to open it. I didn't see the whole.
It was
So
all
it went
blotted
up,
out.
it's going up to 4,041, let's see
It's a
here.
35% increase from what we've been paying.
How much?
35.
Is that what it was? I didn't look at that. The thing that makes this go up $2,800 a year is sprinkler blowout and start is put into here. We could take $2,800 off this yearly bill.
If we
which
blew
is
out our own sprinklers?
44,000, I think it was this year.
Oh, I mean, for 22?
Yes, for 23.
For
If we
20.
re-up the
It
contract.
went from 33 or 36 to 44. and it's gonna keep going up every year.
Okay,
He said if we get to the point where he has to charge prevailing wage, the stuff will go up to 70 probably.
prevailing wage?
Yeah.
For-
Well, some places are,
Yeah, I'm not arguing with you, I'm just saying, that sounds a little bit ridiculous. I'd have to check into that one, but,
so at any rate, we still got one more month left in our current contract. One more payment. And they're gonna come and clean up the leaves, they're gonna do it, because they didn't do it last year. The snow came, we went
Right.
from 70 to snow, if you remember,
right.
at the end of the year. Go ahead, Levi.
My only thought on that is, for that much money, you could hire a seasonal worker.
You could hire a full-time
I'm
employee
being-
for 45,000 a year.
Well, actually.
Lighthearted
you
with
have
the
to buy the
statement, but-
equipment, Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
So the second thing to keep in your mind here is that the cemetery is 90%
Right.
of this bill.
Well, if I did my math correctly, what they're proposing, I think it was 4,141. For 12 months, we're paying them, right?
Yes, we pay them 12.
That's just south of $50,000.
That's just over 4,800 or 48,000 a year,
49.
That doesn't include
9.
tax.
So we're over 50,000.
or close to it.
Well, I think,
How was it calculated?
I'm not sure. I asked him if he would consider coming to,
A meeting?
absolutely, and I said, plan on being, ask some hard questions, and he said that was fine with him. He would be glad to come and
$49,000.
try to defend his bill here, or his quote.
Is that Anthony Brown?
Yes, I'm not sure of Anthony's last name. I know him
It's-
as Anthony,
It's
MKB.
Brown.
So, again, it's going from 33 to what?
41.
41 a month.
It's going from 36,
Yeah.
58.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Is that correct, Joe? 3658?
Per year?
I don't know, I just have this.
And we can take 28 off of that by doing our own blowout.
By doing our own
I
blowout
thought we were.
and commissioning of the sprinkler
Well,
system.
we have been.
I have.
This says
We did last year.
This
Yeah.
says 2,100 for the blowout.
Were
Is
we
that what it
wanting
is,
to
Joe?
have
I-
Extra.
blowout?
That's not
I have
in
not
this
spent a
figure.
lot of time
that
on
is,
this
I think,
It's
this week.
included in the figure.
Here's mowing, no anything.
Did we
until you
ask
get to
him for a
sprinkler
quote
blowout,
on
2,100.
blowout?
Yes, he said, do you want me to, you didn't do it last
And
year,
then
you want me to put
you
it
got
in there? I said, yes, put it in, we
$300
can
just
take it
in
out.
taxes.
Okay, all right.
Okay, well, listen.
So I wanted to
that's-
have the bill include
that's
everything, and you can start
200
taking things out.
That's $200 a
Roughly.
month of that.
How many months do they really, 7, 8 months they do this?
Could be.
Is there one that just gets paid? I mean, we're paying,
Okay.
I figured this out, what they actually work for that money is quite high. And that's spread out a year.
He can
It's like
defend and
6,000
tell
a
you
month
all
if
those
you look at the 8
things.
months.
And there is a lot of work there.
So we're talking about a
the s-
$600 a month increase for the same services last year.
That's more than that. It's
70.
it's 1,080 a month.
No, but
The last claims
but
we
if you
did was
take-
just over 3,000, well, just under $3,100.
But if you take the sprinkler blowout off of that, you save about a little bit over $200 a month.
All I know is that we've been paying consistently 36.
Last year was
58.
$3,056.98. That's our current payment.
3,050, okay. Excuse me.
$3,056.98. Next year will be $41.40.
Okay,
Is
sorry,
it- That's a difference
so
of
then it's-
1,080, isn't
That's
it?
$800 a month more for the same service.
41.
Because again, to compare apples to apples, we need to
41,
compare things without
40.
the sprinkler blowout costs.
Yes.
So that's $800 a month increase.
Okay, because you're not including the 20 whatever for
Right.
the.
Right. Which is still a lot.
$1,000, $1,105.
Okay.
Not, now, you'd have to take the 200 out, minus approximately 200.
See, I never did see this, but my computer.
So it's
didn't
still
open it.
No, it's,
800 plus a month more.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Thanks.
And he will tell you that he's kept the cost down. and-
I can see it better from a distance.
I mean, even with that, you're talking about, what, if that's a 30% increase for $800 a month.
That sprinkler blowout is just a one-time $2,100 fee, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Scott's.
who charges the system up in the spring?
They would charge it up in the spring.
Who adjusts the sprinklers or fixes them when they run over them and break them?
Scott, or Troy.
Troy does now.
See, so, okay, I'm just,
When they say charge it up, what are they?
Well, when
Turn
you
the
first
light
turn it on, you
Yeah.
gotta go through and turn on all the heads, and I'm guessing there's 20-some places there you gotta turn water on.
Well, okay.
I'm sure the 2100 involves the fact that they don't have their own machine. They have to go rent one of those tow behind compressors plus a person's day and.
Well, they should have one that's, I mean,
I agree,
There's
but-
like 30 stations, so it doesn't blow out that particular place in 5 minutes, but still, I mean, I don't know how many
Yeah.
hours it takes.
not very.
Not very
mean,
long. Scotty uses Don Timms' compressor.
Something with high cubic.
So we could
CFM.
probably easily take that off there if we
yeah,
wanted
to
to.
me, that's that part's a non-starter, but
I even got a compressor. It'll be
But
I'll charge you.
we're still
Yeah,
talking
there's no
$800 a month increase for the same service.
Yeah.
No, but it's very easy to, it's not laborious to do that. I mean, you hook it up to the blowout, if it's designed right. If you have to move the blowouts, but generally speaking, you go to the manifold or some of the blowout system, and you turn the thing on,
Goes through the cycle.
you cycle, thank you.
Sure.
And they had, but anyways, and it just, for so many minutes, it just blow them out. And
Yeah.
something like the cemetery and park, no more than a day. I mean, you'd be really pushing it to get a day.
Does anyone know off the top of their head roughly the percentage increase in minimum wage?
It went from
This year
15 to
was considerable.
15.75.
Percentage?
Yeah, by a percent.
Oh, no, it's
Ish.
more than that. It went
Probably.
from 13 something to
Somebody else.
14.
Sage is doing math right now.
Sage has her
Okay,
calculator.
my question is, we're looking at these costs. What is it gonna cost for us to get our own equipment that'll do the job?
A lot.
What is it gonna cost if we can find someone to hire and insure someone to run said equipment?
Well, if they're a
And
city
if a
employee,
headstone gets busted,
See, that's the biggie right there.
right, that is the part that bothers me. Our heads are on the block if something happens and we're the ones doing it.
Well, I can honestly say that for all my years, since we contracted it out, now whether it's them, I don't know. I can't say that for 100% fact. But I do know there's been headstones to say.
Could be.
That have
We've got
been
several that are
missed.
falling apart too because of their age.
Oh, yeah.
Right, you've always had those tipping ones, but I witnessed these, and that's mowers and equipment. Now, whether it was them or not, I can't say, so I don't want to offend anybody. But I do know that when you do it yourself, there's more pride in it, and I would agree with Levi on that. And from a logistical standpoint, I agree, the city is challenged in finding people, but in the long run, you're cheaper to do it yourself.
Yeah.
Do you have that number, Sage?
I do. The minimum wage in 2022 being $14.49 and increasing to $15.74 is an 8% increase.
Yeah, so not big, huge.
Well,
you've got a 25% increase in fuel, which their trucks aren't.
My question is
Not like
just,
they-
are we,
More than that.
is it practical for us to consider that we will be able to find somebody, have the equipment, and everything, and do it ourselves by spring?
Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, the city can't keep on. Sure, it's nice, it's convenient, it's a big convenience saver, but I would disagree. I've heard citizens around saying it's the smartest thing we did, it never looked better. I would disagree with that, because that cemetery looked darn good before, it always has. This year, there was dry spots, there was, it looked like hell, I'll just say it.
Some of the dry spots are because the headstones and the sprinkler system is in such poor shape.
Right.
And when you got a sprinkler back here,
It's just running
guess
into that
what?
stone?
On this side over here, you're not gonna get any water.
And see, that's part of the reason if you had your own people, and I'm just saying in a perfect world, you're here.
Yeah.
Contractor comes in, whips it out, and gets out of Dodge. They're not gonna sit around all day and babysit sprinklers and adjust them.
No.
So the citizens of this community are gonna have to, it's gonna cost what's important to them, to everybody.
I'll just say something that'll probably be unpopular with somebody listening.
Just throw it out there, Stephen.
There you go.
But I'm gonna start looking into what does it take to spin the cemetery off into its own district.
That's a possibility to look at.
And one of the reasons for that is there are people there who are not from the city of Harrington, including my grandfather, who lived in town for I think a couple of years, but generally he lived 5 miles out of town for the majority of his life. The people who live out there don't have a way to control, like they don't vote on us. They have no way to control what happens to it, even though they have people there. And they have no way to share in the support of it other than the purchase that they make for the plot. So to me, I think that they should have a voice. And I think they also should be able to share in the burden of keeping it up. Because I'm guessing if you were to look at who's there, it might well be, it could be possible. I'm not saying that this is the case because honestly, it would be Stan's data that could prove this or disprove it. But it might well be the case that there could be more people in that cemetery that lived outside of the city limits than those that lived in it.
My entire family was exhumed from Moeller and Downs and brought to that cemetery.
What are you gonna do about the people
So
that are
that's-
dead and gone and there's no family left?
I'm more concerned about the living.
So.
Well, I mean, you're talking about setting up, a different source of income, but what about the families that buried their people there and they're no longer around anymore?
No, so the way that works is when you set up a cemetery district, it would encompass the surrounding area.
Community.
And they would be able to levy taxes that
Okay.
we can't
Gotcha.
even,
Not the city.
we can't even
Gotcha.
level those type of
A good
levies.
example is Sprague right now. They have
Right.
a cemetery district up
Yeah.
on the ballot for February here.
Yep.
And I believe, if memory serves, it's 30-some thousand they're asking for on that.
Taxes a year?
This go around, I don't know
Okay.
what. any
How long
other-
that
other
lasts.
than that.
That sounds like
So-
a lovely idea, Stephen.
Last week I was researching, looking for a document that I finally did found, but in the process, there was a file back there in the file cabinets in the back room, specifically about just about everything cemetery. I don't know what it was, I just glanced at it, not the sprinkler one, it was something else, but there was an attorney that did an opinion on the validity of turning that into a district.
Was it Robert Luke?
I just saw it, it wasn't what I was looking for, so I glanced past it, but I saw it was cemetery opinion and it had to do with this turning. So I'm just saying, as you're doing your research, start there, because
So the sprinkler system
I
was
don't
put
know.
in
Okay.
August of
I know it was Bob Luke out on
1977.
the ranch, but then Robert Luke.
87,
Yeah,
97,
that's-
2007 too. The sprinkler system is 40 years old,
So
and you wonder why it's having problems.
Well,
when do we have to make a decision on this?
Not today.
Okay.
I'm just bringing this up. Well, we do have to make a decision within the next month probably.
Right.
Whether we want to go ahead this year or not, and it's gonna go up every year.
It is, and to address that, this might not be the time, but we've been throwing everything else out on the table, is that the endowment fund for that cemetery
Yes,
is not making squat for interest.
okay.
I mean,
I would
for the kind
agree
of
with
money,
you, it could
the
be
money
invested
that's-
other places, but I don't want to, it's safe, I know that,
But that's, the intent of that, I think,
is to generate cash.
yeah, that could definitely alleviate a lot of, some, not all of it, but the money's there for that, and it was designed to do that, and continues, in some aspects, gets fed. Let's
Then I-
utilize it.
The next thing on the cemetery, Royal Tree Service, I've been in contact with 3 or 4 times this week, and his bill to remove the 12 trees, grind the stumps, and take care of one birch and trim up the blue spruce was last year about 27. He's got it down to 23,652.
Is there a difference if he leaves the stumps there, flush level?
Yeah. And yes, he's got a second bid here, so I'll get those. I was unable to print these things, I
And
can't tell
those
you
are
why.
for all the trees that the 3 gyms and a stand don't think that they can take care of themselves?
3 gyms in the stand, these are huge trees, they're.
No,
90
I know, but there was
That's
ones
what
on the
Dave
outside.
Stevens-
The 3 gyms and a stand said that they were gonna be able to do themselves.
Yeah, they could probably.
We kind of steered them away from that because of the city's liability
Well-
for workers' comp and some
Yeah.
other issues.
But anyway, so that's gone down from 30-something to 23, and this is a local guy.
Okay, so how much
That is
would you
within
know
the
right
budget.
there, how much of
Within the
difference if we
cemetery
left the
fund.
stumps? I mean, not 3 foot high.
Yes, yeah, it was grinding the stumps was
$5,000?
21, no, only like
Okay.
2,100 or something. I've got them both here. It's gonna take my IT man to tell me why I can't print these. These things were sent to me on some kind of a file.
Well, if it's like mine, mine acts up too.
No, this is not a Mac.
We
No,
can't.
this, whatever the heck it is.
So that was a great thing. That price has come down from 37
So
down
that-
to like 27.
The print button?
Yeah, and I tried that, yeah.
Well, you have.
When do we want to do it?
So you had OneNote
I could-
printer
I
selected,
think
which I need to just remove that, so it's not a temptation for you.
Heck of a lot
What you
less.
want is copier.
Hit the print button.
Okay, this thing here, so and there's another one right below it, that's 366, is it?
Please go do it. What are they gonna do, fire you?
Well, the ones on the edge of the
Hopefully
cemetery.
that starts
So my eyes are getting to the point with this light, I cannot read that. The next one I want to tell you guys is another bit of good news. Can you read that for us, for the part there where I've highlighted it? This is from
Fee
the
rate
county.
increases?
This is another rate increase from Lincoln County Transfer.
How
Dear
much?
Mayor Silhan, I am writing this letter to notify you of the annual rate increase to be implemented at the Lincoln County Transfer Station. The rate increase of 4.5% adopted by the resolution of the Board of the County Commissioners is outlined in Exhibit A attached. The new rates will become effective May 1st, 2023. We are able to keep recycling drop-off fees at the current rate and continue to offer a cash discount rate for 2 bags or less of household garbage at $5.
That part I
That
didn't
doesn't
get
do
at
us
all.
any good. Their tonnage tipping fees have gone up 4.5%, you said?
66.
Yes.
Come on here.
Okay, I think it's imperative that we look at other options. I don't know how, go ahead.
Consolidated is what Ritzville also uses. So Ritzville and Odessa both use Consolidated out of the freight I found out.
Okay.
So, I mean, we're,
How far will they be willing to come this direction?
I didn't
That's-
call them.
Oh, I know. I'm thinking out loud.
Well, they just make a loop, you know, and they have pizza here.
Yeah. Jess, can give them their phone
Oh,
number.
there you go, there.
Yes, once I get the phone
But
number,
I
I can
mean-
do that.
This is our times here.
So
There's
stump
only so
grinding,
much we can,
$3,084 to grind all 12 stumps down.
12
much?
stumps for $3,084.
$84.
And these are these are like 4 or 5 feet.
They're big
Are
stumps.
these maples or are these locusts we're looking
Locust
at?
trees.
Are
Those
those
are the
nasty
locust
trees
trees
that
that are
don't
all
burn?
split, with
Yeah.
another tree growing in the center,
Yep.
splitting the trees apart.
We planted those things
They're
because they
huge
grew fast
locusts.
and they could stand
Okay,
the
so
weather.
how many
That's about all they're good for.
services have we found? There's Consolidated, and then who else had another one? There was 2.
We had a couple of them last week.
It'd be in the meeting minutes, wouldn't it?
It's
Empire? No, that's what we used to have.
Janice.
I mean, this is getting down pretty serious. That's a heck of an increase for the citizens here.
Ephrata, it is Wheatland.
Wheatland?
Disposal out of Ephrata and Wheatland. I have not tried to call either one of these people yet.
Those are the ones that go to Moses Lake and then to also,
Consolidated is out of
Odessa?
Ephrata.
Yes.
It says and Wheatland.
oh, and Wheatland, okay.
And I don't know who Wheatland is, but those were 2 names that I was given from the mayor's meeting.
But Odessa's on a different way, see,
Odessa uses the one out of Ephrata.
question I have, and I thought we were gonna sit down with Sunshine and negotiate. It appeared to me that the last time they were here, they just said, here, this is our rates, take it.
Yeah.
It was more or less, I thought we were gonna go, hey, that's too much, and my conversation as per, the guy, I think it was one of the guys I talked to a year ago, said you're gonna negotiate, the contract comes up and we're gonna negotiate in the fall of 2022. And I believe, at that time, I was telling him, I said, I don't understand, these prices that you're charging, the difference, how do you justify charging more a gallon for the little one? And he said, at that time, he said that was for like a regular tin can, not the totes. And they were trying to get away with that, so they were charging a bunch. Well, they just got a tote to take its place. I like to, and, this is a little presumptuous on my part, but I'd like to limit, just by going through the last bill and looking how many extra bags and stuff, that has to be addressed. They have a little, there's only a couple of them anyways, but they have a little tote and 5 bags of garbage.
Stacked on top of it?
Yeah, so they get charged for that. I would like to pencil it out, and Steve and I, or we all sit down and look at this, and maybe possibly eliminate it, narrow it down to maybe 1 or 2 totes available, and not have this wide disparity on everything.
So I think the first step that we need to go through is to determine who's willing to come to Harrington. Because once we know who's willing to come to Harrington, we know
What our rates.
what our rates are, and then we can work ourselves backwards to what we're gonna charge for our services. If we call these other 2 and they say, nope, you will not come to Harrington, then we got what we got, I think.
I like Joe's idea
So-
first, we just get our own garbage truck.
Well, I'll tell you what, before the next meeting, I will try and get hold of both of these companies and see if they're even interested in coming here.
Yeah, I can probably help you with that.
Okay. I hate to say it on mic, but I think things may be tapering off slightly. Every time we say that,
Well,
something else dumps
If
on
we
us.
can get multiple companies to have interest, we might want to consider putting our service up for bid.
I agree, absolutely.
Instead of asking for rates, and maybe they'll just say, we don't bid on people, but maybe we can say, hey, we've got service, what are you willing to do to keep it? Otherwise, we're just going to be going to someone else and taking their rates and hoping that it's better than the rates that we're currently taking. But maybe we would be so lucky as to find ourselves with a slight bit of leverage.
Maybe, well, I don't know if it'll make any difference, but I'd be kind of curious to see what's looking at Wheelabrator, the waste energy charges for tipping fees. To see, and I'm sure Lincoln County's already figured that into it and stuff like that.
Well, you got
For pricing.
to find a company willing to haul it there, though.
Right, but I mean, that would, before we
Okay.
go into the garbage business ourselves.
Yeah.
So garbage is something we gotta bring up at the next meeting too.
Yes.
We're not kicking it down the road, we're gonna pursue it and we gotta get after that.
Yeah.
And the last thing I had on mine, and I don't remember who I told, but the fellow from Johnson Towing was in. And Johnson Towing is moving and occupying the building, Freeze's building.
Just the family.
Yes, the family. They're still gonna
The
lease our
business is gonna
building.
keep using the,
They would still like to lease our building, but they are no longer going to be living in it.
okay,
So that's a wonderful thing from my point of view.
I'd say so.
You know, and
Have we,
From that, did you guys see the lease?
Yes.
that they had Tailored?
yes,
but I just have one question, and I'll just throw it out there. Our ideas of eventually, possibly, maybe, of moving out there,
making a complex.
is that back burner? 'Cause the reason why I asked that, if we go ahead and sign a lease,
Yes.
you know,
It's something we would probably need to figure out our intentions before that point.
Yeah. I have I wrote that because if we're going down that path, we needed to have something to start working
When
with.
does this
but
come up? Is it
It's in May.
May 31st.
So we
Which will
shouldn't
be here in the blink of an eye.
But it's 60 days ahead of that when we have to have the lease ready.
Yeah, the intention to renew, I don't know the current contract, I think that was only, they could renew it once.
Yeah,
So
the
this-
current lease expires, it does not have any more extensions.
Yes, so,
Correct.
so May 31st is the cutoff.
Okay, so here's my thoughts, maybe I'm alone in this. Let's schedule a public hearing. It doesn't have to necessarily be the next meeting, but let's have a public hearing to have an open discussion with the public about where they think City Hall should be.
I agree, that'd be good.
We can discuss and we can have the conversation with the public to get input, because I think, in my mind, the McGregor building has many merits. But I think it's also willing to note that there might be certain discomfort in the community with moving the City Hall
Off the main drag.
way out there. Maybe no one cares. Maybe people are just happy with all the other benefits that are there, or maybe it's a big deal. I honestly don't know exactly where people would land. So I think giving ourselves the option to have a public discussion on it, if nothing else, could tell us how apathetic people are to the concept, in which I guess leaves it up to us.
Yeah.
So,
We'll use it as a test, sounding board,
yeah.
or a test.
Absolutely.
Because we're gonna have to figure out our intentions before we put a lease in place, because if we get that lease signed, what the new one would be for 1 year with extension, or?
Left it blank.
Okay.
I left all that specifics blank.
Obviously, the price is going to go up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everything in the world is going up right now, so.
So even if it is for a year, that's a year before we could, because we know that we can't move out there without contractor work. And we're seeing the impacts of getting contractor work
Yeah.
for the bank building. So if we did sign a year lease, that means it's a year before we could start modifying it for our use.
And there
So-
was another place in town, and I won't bring it up at this point, that somebody mentioned.
What are the challenges with contractor work? Is it materials?
Not
or-
available.
Finding contractors to do the work.
Contractors is the problem.
They're busy, they're booked, so they say, but I mean, and materials to some degree, but they'll give you a lot of excuses, but a lot of them, for the most part, are just swamped.
Yeah.
And for them to find help too.
Yeah.
They're left, I mean, industry-wide, it doesn't matter what you do. They either the supply chain is messed up, help, workers qualified to work, or all the above, and swamped.
Insurance rates.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want a clarification, thank you.
No, you're fine. At least that's our story, we're sticking to it.
There we go.
The mayor returns his time to the floor.
Sorry.
One last question, and I already know the answer because I asked you, but for the benefit of the council, the well pipe in the air,
Our well number one is what was turned on during the that was
Emergency?
Monday,
The switch over.
and it is running right now. We did not put the big one back in service, and it's doing just fine. I had a man out here the other day by the name of Derek Sochi from a place in Spokane. He couldn't make it do any of the problems that it had before. He is very content with his diagnosis that it had something to do with during the freeze that the water table could have gone down a little bit.
It was sucking air.
Yeah, and that's what it was, and it was because when we turned it off there, we were expelling water into the creek when the water came up so high. And when that valve was shut off and everything was put back in place, right now it's running like a top. And his comment was, if I were you, I would start planning on having that well remanufactured. Meaning that the pump on top, which is 80 years old, and the pump in the ground, the motor, the pump, the shaft, the housing could probably be taken from a 4-inch, he said, down to a 2-inch. And it'd probably have a 10-horse motor, modern motor, instead of a 20-horse, 100-year-old motor. And he didn't give me any kind of prices, but he said you need to start saving your money because it's working fine right now till it's not. And you know, it's like anything when it gets old.
So that could be the emergency that'll come up about April, May.
It could be. We just never know. This could run longer than you and I are around. It sounds just sweet as can be at the moment.
Just don't say anything about it and it won't happen.
Well, but see, here's the thing, the only thing that I disagree, or I question about the guy, your older motors, electric motors, usually you have a 20-horse, 80-year-old 20-horse is equivalent to about a 30 or 40 or 50-horse modern. I mean, that's the difference in how they were made. I mean, you take like
As far as their power or their.
everything about it.
Okay.
Now there'll be people that disagree with that, but if you replace a motor like on a compressor that's been 7 years old, you have, and it's a 3-horse, you have to go up to like an 8-horse to get the same duty cycle and the same what it was doing. So in other words, they were made to last years ago.
Absolutely.
Which is why it's as old as it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason, it made it this long. So, I don't know why I brought that up, but anyway, just for information.
Something to think about.
But I don't know how you go down to a 2-inch.
Well, we thought that we just don't need the size of pipe we have for the amount of water we're trying to pull out of there. The pumps right now will pump way more water than the old ones.
Well, you're limited on your pipe size. But that's kind of.
I'd have to have you talk to
Physics, I
him.
mean, cubic feet per minute is cubic feet per minute, and if you're doing that through a 2-inch hole instead of a bigger,
No, a 2-inch pipe right now, we got a 5-inch casing or something and a 4-inch pump.
I just would be hesitant to
Lower the size and the possibility of the
increase
output.
the pressure and keep it the same volume.
You were just conveying the man's message.
Yeah.
He's just telling you the facts of what they put in nowadays to pump
I've had a
150 gallons a
milkshake and I
minute.
can attest to bigger straws being helpful.
So, at any rate,
Well, thanks for that
Especially if it's
update. I mean,
blackberry.
so right now.
that part at the present moment is working wonderful.
Okay, good. Chris, knock on wood.
Yeah.
Okay.
Move to adjourn.
Public comments.
Just one thing. I've been here, for the last year and a half talking about, dogs and cats and chickens and everything else. Did you know you got a herd of goats over here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I don't know, there's a herd, there's 2 over there, correct?
Well, I think there's more than that.
Do you?
And it's spring.
Oh, the old 4-legged
Yeah,
goats.
Yeah, they're.
I'll give you a little update. This week, we've done several things with code enforcement. We went down, and I can't remember what the fella's name who lived on 2nd. Well, 1 door down from Joe, 2 doors down from Joe. 2nd and,
Glover? No.
It's when you head straight out to Coffee Pot.
yes.
Is that Glover?
No, it starts with an L.
Oh,
Linden.
It's Linden Street.
2nd Linden. There's a yellow double wide there.
Yep,
Used to be owned by Kathy Matthews.
yep.
No longer owned by Kathy Matthews. I have the gentleman that bought it from her's name. There's a wrecked car laying there. So we called up and asked Johnson Towing, it's actually on our right of way. And it was $275 charge for us to pay to have it towed. And I told Troy, hold off on that. I'm not spending any money. I'm gonna call this guy up and tell him he's gonna pay the $275. Because I don't think we should have to pay
No,
it.
you don't.
No.
Our ordinances, we do.
Oh, yeah, we do. Johnson won't tow it unless we pay him $275.
Well, I mean, but yes, we could charge that other.
Well, we can, but
Whether
at
you
any
use it or
rate,
not.
whoever lived there moved out last weekend, is that true?
I saw the truck there on Sunday.
And the gentleman who owns it apparently is not extremely interested. The windows are open and the door was locked. So we couldn't open the door to close the windows, so we turned the water off for the unit because we're not gonna go there day after tomorrow and find water running out the,
Another fountain.
yes, another one of those. Like, you can't leave these houses with no heat on. So the windows are open, which means it's as cold inside as it is outside, or maybe more.
Does it have power to it, Jess?
It does.
Yes, it does have
Lights
power.
are on.
Lights are
Nobody's
off.
home.
Lights are on. They left
So-
the lights on.
It's a Motel 6.
At any rate, we're trying to get that, we're calling Good Guys. It's a total automobile, and both airbags have been gone off. So that tells you it was hit pretty hard, and it's got no wheels. It fits the to T,
Criteria.
our
Oh,
ordinance.
yeah. The right front wheel is pointing east,
Yeah,
while the car is pointing north.
it's been hit hard. Anyways, it's a piece of junk. And I don't know what it's worth for scrap, so I don't know if anybody who towed it would ever get anything back out of it.
It's a
The good guys towing will take them for free, won't they?
Well, we think so, but a lot of this is hearsay and then till you go to have it done.
Well, I know Andy Mankey was
Yeah.
talking about that.
Yeah.
They didn't pull the plates.
Andy Mankey has better success being a police officer than we do.
But he, well, I don't know, he just said,
So-
need help, call them guys, they pick it up, and a cop
I
could
remember
come.
him saying that.
So, code enforcement officer called animal control in Lincoln County.
They got animals
Because
there?
we have a couple dogs up here at a local residence who's also got a car shop at his house. And there is no animal control
In the county.
in the county. So I told him to call the sheriff. The sheriff says, we can't help you.
Yeah, they won't do that.
So it seems that a lot of the things we've spent money for and are expecting to have help with on some of these, there's not a lot of help out there.
Well,
In fact, it looks like it's gonna cost us money to
Yep.
have cars towed and other things. So,
But the dog thing, though, I do know, and it was reiterated several times, and in our contract, that's one thing that Lincoln County did not want to be involved
Involved
with.
in.
And this comes from Adam Walser or whatever.
Walser,
yeah,
That they're not dog catchers.
Sure.
And they're not gonna mess with them. One, they're just not gonna deal with it. Two, they have no place to deal with it, put them. So it's kind of like, I don't know, if it's something like a cruelty situation of that nature, maybe Humane Society, maybe those avenues, I don't know if they're possible around here.
I don't know, the gentleman who has these dogs outside, they're outside and barking all day and night, as I understand.
So they're a nuisance for barking, not a dangerous thing?
I wouldn't
I've
wanna
got
be
tracks in
outside
my
all
yard
day and
every
night
day.
right now.
BB
But
gun.
No, I wouldn't
I'm a
do
dog
that.
person, so
It's not
They
the
used
dog's
to give them
fault.
warnings, then they'd take them up
It's a
to
little
Humane
tap, and they
Society.
don't come back.
well, we actually sent this man a warning, certified letter, and I believe this is the thing that comes back that says it was delivered.
Yes, they have to sign it to
I'm
get
gonna
it.
have to verify that. So he's now, as I told our code enforcement officer today, just
Violation.
don't lose a lot of sleep about it now. Put this in your file. You know the date. In 30 days, we'll go back and visit him again. And apparently he's contacting other people in the local area here to help him remove cars, because our code enforcement officer went to his house and said, 7 cars in front of your house is unacceptable. None of them have plates. They gotta go. And he's apparently working on it. So we've had several successes with code enforcement, just without any,
Well, that house at the end of the street, main drag going through town, they cleaned that up. That was really a mess,
That was
so-
one of the successes.
By the post office?
No,
No.
all the way out.
All the way
first-
out Third, the last 2 houses at the
Yeah.
end of the road.
Yeah,
They were
down
down
by
that
the
way.
old Priest's
Oh,
place.
that way.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I got your meaning.
Yeah, they cleaned it up.
So,
And
so
it
things
was
are
great.
happening, positive things, without help from other people, and other things we're running into dead ends. I was unwilling to spend $277 of the city's money to have that car towed.
Nope.
At least this week. Maybe next week I could be
Well,
tempted.
Where would you take it if you were a private citizen? Where could you dump it?
good guys told you,
Yeah.
don't take it for free.
And I'm not gonna spend a lot of time talking to the individual who owns the house, 'cause-
If it's on city property, you call the sheriff's office, and it's yanked right
Are you
now.
trying to get the floor?
No.
No, okay. I wasn't sure if that was a.
There's still a motion. Did it die for want of a second?
I don't know if it got
No,
heard.
okay,
Okay.
Levi, is there anything you'd like to say?
I would remove to adjourn.
Is there a second on that?
I second.
So at 9:25 PM, we had a motion from Levi and a second from Chris Moritz, her first motion, or second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting's adjourned. Chris Moritz.